But welcome to the stream. Welcome. Hope everyone had a great Saturday. It's serious business time. It's always serious business time on this channel, but more than usual. We're dipping into the back half. I always like calling things when you get to like the second half of something. I love calling it the back half for some reason. I don't know why. It just sounds really cool to say. The back half of something. As opposed to the front half. Usually, I don't think I've heard front half said much. You usually say first half and then the back half. That's usually what I would say. The back half of Higurashi's chapters 1 through 8, I should say at least. Real quick, I should bring this up again. Because at some point I'm going to need to know the answer because I'm a dumb baby who apparently can't look things up correctly, get a straight answer. What the hell is Higurashi when they cry Rei? I'm going to say it's REI and then HOU plus. I assume, especially what I did with back when we had our Umineko streams, I assume there are subsequent or side adjacent releases of different story arcs that are just floating nebulously around the main chapters 1 through 8. And I assume that's the right answer. Although when I Google some things, I get strange answers that I don't think are true. As far as what they are. But unless my reading comprehension just sucks, which probably true. But mostly, I assume I'm still going to finish 1 through 8. But I need to know basically what order should I check out these other things. That's going to be really the important questions I want answered sometime before we finish chapter 8. So I'm going to say, especially if you're watching this VOD, you probably have in general like 4 to 5 months to probably get me an answer, I would assume. That's about how long I think it's going to take to finish these second half of the chapters. But forget all that. We are in chapter 5, Miyakashi. Miyakashi? I'm going to say that's what it is. The answer arcs and or answers arc, whichever you're cared to call it, because I will be calling it the wrong way probably than what it actually is supposed to be. I believe, if I'm to believe what was told in the story, we are at the end of 3. We were told 5 was basically going to be a Shion-led chapter here. With the slight detour we had of chapter 4, I don't need to recap all of chapter 4. That's not necessary, I don't think. Just go watch that if you really care, or, you know, have your own brain percolate and think. I don't know. But in chapter 4, small detour, it was ended up being a pretty short chapter. Maybe Rika focused, may be right to say, but also early origins of village focused. But I don't want to say like the birth of the village here. That wouldn't make sense. But how do I want to put it? I want to say the birth of the mystique, the birth of the hubbub surrounding the village. I think we see some origins. We got some introductions to some new characters. A dude, his wife, now dead, daughter. She was around there. Oishi. Him and Oishi, dude, Kasuka and Oishi being like, "Hey, we need to solve what happened. I'm down." They did like the Terminator handshake thing, and they're like, "We're gonna solve what happened to this village and its people. They deserve it," kind of thing. And so yeah, that was a lot of chapter 4. But in this one, apparently Shion led here. Which, you know, I'm fine. It should be interesting. I don't think I would have a problem with that necessarily. In that, I don't think I'm dying to get back to behind the eyes of our guy, Ketchy. I'm going to be 100% honest, the pausing there, I don't have to admit this, but I'm going to because, you know, very, very honest with my chat. I there paused because I could not remember Ketchy's name, and I almost just said Ryukishi. I almost just said the author name for some reason because my brain is, at this point, very broken. I could not remember. God, and also, it feels like forever since we've concluded Chapter 4. It was only last week. It was a week ago, and then we just took a break and didn't stream this on Tuesday. So I don't even have a good excuse for how bad. No excuses. No excuses. But yeah, we're in Chapter 5 here. I would assume we're probably, at the very least, going to get back to... I think 4 was probably going to be the shortest. Or would be on the short end of chapters, so I assume we're going to get back to the length of the other chapters, basically. If not longer. If anything, if we base off Umineko, the lengths of chapters, they start cramming in more on the chapters as you get into, again, callback, back half of the story. So I assume, if anything, we're dealing with longer stretches here. So pace accordingly. Click here when I'm finished. I'm so finished. Mind your ears here. Video opening might contain minor spoilers. Always enable. As always. I should also say, there's a possibility. Because I think I noticed this pattern in Umineko from last year. There's people that jump around or go, like, come into the series at different points, like entry points. And I think I realized that there was, like, a slight spike of, like, you start losing a lot of, like, continued viewers as, like, chapters 1 through 4 kind of go on. Minus the small little bumps you might get from, like, the start of a new chapter or whatever. But then there's, like, a large spike once you get into the second half of things. So the answers arcs. So if you're somehow just joining into here, I should say, I've been forewarned about the spoilers in the videos. When they play, I will close my eyes. We'll listen to the music together. And then you, the viewing experience, can watch it if you would like to. But I will not be watching it. You know, just trying my best. But other than that, let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. New thing. Oh my god, a tree in the foreground? Oh, we're elevating. Oh, it looks different. This just is all different. I didn't even... Whoa. Oh, it's making me panic. I guess I should see if the CGs are on. I will say, if you're just joining us in here into the Answers arc, this is your entry point on this channel. Again, welcome. But also, so many running jokes that you missed, you know? As if it's so important. But mostly I was saying that because of the CG thing. There was a snafu, if you can believe. One of my rare mistakes here on this channel, you know what I mean? I'm usually very professional and rarely make mistakes. My Japanese pronunciation is flawless, especially when it comes to names of people and places. And, yeah, that's the only brief you get. Miyakashi, which I ironically probably am pronouncing this incorrectly, and then the joke is presenting itself. Beloved Cutthroat, that's pretty dope. Eye-opening chapter. Welcome to the world of Higurashi when they cry, Kai. Kai? Kai. We finally reached the halfway point. From the viewpoint of the protagonist, try to find the truth behind the tragedy that unfolds. The difficulty, is very high. It won't be easy to comprehend the motive of the perpetrator. I would expect no less. Chapter opening screen. What is this room? Swanky. This arc includes choices that were added in the console version. These choices result in dialogue changes and can lead to bad ends. Do you want to see these choices? At the extreme risk of somehow frustrating my future self, I'm going to include them. I know, hovering over this. I know. Fast forward to when I somehow screw myself over with this. Get ready. It's gonna happen. She dropped her beads in the sand, so the girl cried. For 100 years, the girl searched the sands. They might be in the ocean, not the sand. So the girl cried. For 100 years, the girl searched the ocean. They might be in the mountains, not the ocean. So the girl cried. How many years will pass before the girl wonders if she really dropped them? This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual persons or organizations is entirely coincidental. Seven keys were attached to the keychain. Without knowing which key was the correct one, I had to go by instinct and try every key, one by one. On average, I'd reach the correct key within 3.5 attempts. I'd be fortunate if I could open the lock within the first 3 keys, and I'd be unfortunate if I didn't. I had to think of the worst case scenario, getting the right key only on the very last attempt. I fought with my nervousness. My head ached from it. I put the key in and turned it. I just needed to repeat that small procedure several more times, but I couldn't stop shaking. Damn. Even a 3-year-old kid can do something this easy. So, am I more childish than a 3-year-old? Whatever. I don't care if I'm clumsy. I just need to try all these keys. Even in the worst case scenario, the lock will open on the 7th try. It's Shion. Adjusting audio, there we go. No way. Reality isn't always the same as math. What happened was worse than my worst case scenario. None of the keys worked at all. I could feel the blood draining from my brain. Did I get the wrong set of keys? No, I definitely see a faint marking that says the set is for this door. Am I just reading it wrong? Should I go back to the key cabinet to look for the right one? That would mean a great loss of time. Just by being here, I'm already risking so much. Something that could ruin everything might happen any moment. If I can't open this lock, do I have to go back to the administration office? If there was no other choice, it'd be a waste of time to spend another second here. The administration office wouldn't necessarily be empty at this time. Somebody might come in. I won't be able to look for the right key if that happens. I stood up quickly, as if electrified. I was almost in a panic, so felt the urge to move. My instinct pushed me. I have to go back there as quickly as possible. It's dangerous to be here. And it's also dangerous if somebody comes into the administration office. I cooled my head, making it as chilly as possible, to repress my fear. Calm down, Shion. Mion wouldn't panic in this situation. Maybe I'm just mistaken. Why don't I try the keys one more time? The next moment, I felt a faint vibration in the air. Somebody was walking somewhere in the hallway. If it were a normal situation, I would have known I wouldn't run into them, since the footsteps were very far away. But at the time, I couldn't think calmly. Ah, shit. Why am I panicking this much just because of footsteps? Calm down. Calm down. I should be feeling excited instead. Calm down. Calm down. I just need to do what I have to do. I should ignore the footsteps because they're not an immediate threat. Pretend they aren't here. I have to listen for something much more important right now. Ah, shit. This key should be hard and cold, but it's pliable and hot. It feels like rubber. How could I stick this into the keyhole? Shit, shit, shit. It wasn't the key that was pliable. It's my fingers that were limp. Ah, shit, shit, shit. Key sprung out of my hand and fell to the floor. Shouldn't have made any sound because it was so pliable, but it made a tremendous metal noise as if somebody pushed over a cupboard. Cling. Not the best at onomatopoeias. The sound almost stopped my heart. I felt dizzy for a while. I looked around afterwards to carefully see if I caused any disturbance to the surroundings. Calm down. Calm down. Nothing's changed. I don't hear anything. So, am I safe? Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Wait. I don't hear anything. What about those footsteps in the distance? Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Are they looking for me after they notice the sound? Ah, shit. What is the sound I'm hearing? Is it sweat dripping on the floor? Shut up, shut up, shut up. How could I hear the sound of my sweat? Calm down, calm down, calm down. Calm the fuck down. I have to clarify. This isn't a prison or a detention center. It's a private school. Not a normal one, though. It costs a fortune just to get in. It's a boarding school that provides education from elementary school to university. Being for girls only rather than a school, you could say it's a factory that manufactures ladies. Some of my classmates here have never even used public transportation. Really, it isn't normal. To me, saying how nice to see you instead of just hi is already insane. And calling the teacher sisters gives me the creeps. I hate the morning and evening prayers, to say nothing of the Sunday Mass. I don't want to memorize the Bible passages, and the Holy Ghost gives me a rash. If I stay in this institution, that's what I call the place, for many years, I'd either go crazy or be brainwashed. Most of the girls choose to be brainwashed, but I can't do that. After all, I was more impressed by the political schemes and international trade behind religious propagation than by the love of God, which the Bible teaches. Because of that, I've been treated as a problematic child from the beginning. I experienced lots of disadvantages as a result. I realized that quickly, so I superficially pretended to be normal. However, I got tired of acting, so I started to reveal my true self from time to time. I became a problematic child once again. People started to treat me differently once again. It's fun to misbehave, but it wouldn't do anything for me in the long run. So why did I act that way? Why, even though I knew it was going to backfire on me later on? After examining my emotions, I realized I had completely had it with my surroundings. I was afraid of being brainwashed in this institution. I can't live here. I won't let them brainwash me. 6 months ago, I decided to escape this place. The moment I made up my mind, I started to feel alive again. I acted ladylike in order to deceive the sisters. Pretending became fun once I'd set my goal. It gave me the creeps when they told me with smiles that it was God's influence I started to behave religiously. I laughed at them behind their backs. I took on my classmates' duties in order to understand the layout of the school and the schedules of the staff and guards. I soon found out that the security of the school was immensely tight because there were many daughters of important people living there. The guards walked their beat randomly. There were surveillance cameras everywhere. The system that kept our intruders ironically also worked to prevent escapees. Kept out intruders. But that excited me instead. I simulated how to avoid all the surveillance in my head many times. I drew an escape route in the corner of my notes during class and tested if it worked. I strove to acquire any necessary skills for the escape. It was all fun. After all, the situation was cathartic for me. That's who I am. No matter how hard they tried to brainwash me, I'd never change. I'd been waiting for the moment of my escape, preparing physically and mentally. First, I needed the courage to escape. I had to be confident of the plan. I had to think deeply about it. I also needed skills and physical strength. I imagined all the possible obstacles and trained myself. It was funny because I was finally able to enjoy gym classes. even the long-distance runs. I needed a perfect plan, as well as the physical strength and skills necessary to execute it. Also, supported by those things, I needed determination. I made sure that I had all I needed and executed the plan. I decided to plant a seed in school before the appointed day. The seed was a rumor that one of the male teachers was having a relationship with a student. I won't go into the details now, but that can turn into an enormous problem in this school. I mean... Alright, the school is limited to girls precisely because their parents want to avoid those kinds of problems. Those parents are mostly important people from various positions. If the romance was a fact and was leaked to the public, the principal would have to commit suicide and shame. In fact, even that might not be enough. In the world of girls, rumors spread fast, especially when they're separated from boys and are obsessed with dirty thoughts. So, this kind of rumor goes around really quickly. The sisters try to get rid of that kind of rumor, and they warn the students not to be swayed by it. But apparently, they're the ones who are most swayed by those rumors. This means that I managed to make them furtively deal with something shady, without contacting families or the authorities. God. So, if I disappeared in these circumstances, it looked like I ran away with some teacher. All the male teachers would deny it, of course. However, school wouldn't believe what they said so easily. After all, there's a dirty rumor going around. By the time the school finds out about my escape, after they eliminate all the other possibilities, I'll be somewhere safe. I tried hard to spread the rumor that I was involved in the forbidden romance as widely as possible. The sisters questioned me a few times, but since the romance was something I'd made up, they couldn't find anything. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't find any evidence. After 3 months, I was certain that I created a solid foundation. I swapped after-dinner duties with my classmates so that I could adjust my schedule on this day. I was even able to fill them with suspicion about me doing that. Now, they'll definitely suspect I ran away with some male teacher. Tonight was the night. I began my chores after dinner. After lights out, somebody will find out about my disappearance. My generous roommate would probably wait about 10 minutes before she reported me to a sister, but no longer than that. I had about an hour tops, but that's enough for me. Took a step off my regular route. That was the first step toward my great escape. I calmed down and thought, the key shouldn't be wrong. This lock is old and firm. Isn't it possible that I put the right one in, but the lock was just stiff and I only thought I got the wrong one? I realized that my nervousness was making me clumsy. The gloves that I'm wearing to avoid leaving fingerprints must be getting in the way too. I should try the keys one more time. I picked the most probable one and gently inserted it into the keyhole. It's stiff. If I twist it too strongly, I might break the key. The moment I thought of giving up, I felt something in my fingertips. The key worked. I slowly opened the door. I could hear the crickets. I don't have to hesitate now, but somehow I'm reluctant to step outside. I can still make excuses up to this point. It might look awkward, but I still can. But if I take a step outside now, there could be no excuse. If the guards find me, they'll take me to the office immediately. There have been escape attempts before. That's not really so strange. I don't think I'm the only heathen here. It's understandable that there have been people before who couldn't fit in this place. So the school is well aware of the possibility of escapees. I've heard rumors about what happened to those who were caught and attempting to escape. I don't want to believe any of those stories, though. You see, all the school's horror stories involve students who attempted escapes. Whatever. Bring it on. Alright, I'm into the music. I'm not expecting to get a second chance anyway. There'll always be only one chance. Things get serious beyond this door. I psyched myself up and pushed the door open. A strong smell was hanging in the air. Is that normal for the outside? I never smelled this strong, grassy smell before. Is there something going on? Do I have to be wary of it? Should I go back and wait for another chance? That's silly. There's nothing strange going on. The smell is something I smell every day. I just wasn't aware of it. It's true, isn't it? Even though I pretend to be cool, I'm nothing but a nervous wreck. Calm down. Calm down, Shion. I can rely only on the map inside my head from this point onward. I'd researched the locations of all the surveillance cameras, confident that I'll be able to avoid all of them. But I'm not sure about the guards. They pick their patrol routes randomly, after all. I have to take a chance. I can hide myself in most places, but there's an area where there's nowhere to hide for several meters. I concentrate to keep my senses keen. Well, I have to depend on my luck in the end. Even if I do my best, the guard might find me by mere chance. On the contrary, I might be able to get away no matter how unwisely I choose to move if I'm lucky. Damn, after all that effort, it just boils down to luck? Ahaha! This is a gamble after all. When I realized that, I got excited. Yes, this is a gamble. I'm trying my luck. This is a game to test the determination to change my life. If somebody failed to escape from the school, that meant they didn't have enough luck to survive in the real world. But I'm different. I'm going to get out of here. I'm testing my luck. Here goes, Shion. I ignored the noisy bugs and concentrated only on suspicious sounds. I heard no threats. The loudest sound wasn't the bugs, it was my own heartbeat. Crunch. Even my own footsteps were so loud they could break my eardrums. With each and every step, my overactive imagination tormented me with premonitions of unexpected run-ins with guards. Countless times that torture grew too hard to bear, and I thought of running. But if I broke into a run, the noise I made would only draw suspicion. If anyone heard running at a time and place where people shouldn't be, they would realize something abnormal was happening. But if footsteps they heard were just walking, then they'd likely think nothing of it. Of course, I don't plan on even letting them hear those footsteps. I try to extend my senses to get as much information as possible. I didn't sense anyone's presence. I might have felt safer if I heard a guard in the distance. I'm worried that my senses might not be keen enough to detect everything. Somebody might be right behind me, without me being aware of it. I didn't want to make any noise, so I stopped from time to time. It's like I'm constantly fidgeting. To stop or to run. Something within urged me to choose from either one. I can't choose to stop. I have to keep going quickly and stealthily. I'm already risking too much just by being here. Running, of course, would be absurd. I know that. The urge to run continued to bug me. My head was filled with those thoughts as I went through this dangerous territory. Hello, hello. I succeed in passing through without running into anybody. I couldn't help but sit for a moment and exhale the rotten air from my lungs. My negative thoughts vanished quickly. Just a little more to go. Just a little more. Just through that bush over there on the fence that separates this place and the outside world. Once again, I strongly felt the urge to run. I suppressed that desire and carefully tackled the final step. The beautiful looking fence didn't seem designed to prevent escapes. While I was worried that somebody might see me climbing up the fence, it fortunately didn't happen. It's even possible that this fence might have a touch sensor. It's too late now. It doesn't mean anything now since I'm already climbing up. From the top, the fence seemed about 7 feet high. I have to go down carefully, just like when I climbed up. I knew that logically, but I couldn't think that way anymore. I chose to jump off with no hesitation. Broke both of my ankles. Failed my escape attempt. Of course, I regretted my decision during the fall. I got scared because the flight was longer than I expected. I didn't land beautifully. I fell onto my butt. But there was nobody around to laugh, and I didn't have time to be embarrassed. I looked around to see if anybody heard my landing. Even the crickets weren't interested in the sound I made. I felt relieved. I looked at my watch. 5 minutes till 8 p.m. It was just a 15-minute escape. Putting a number to it really made it obvious how short it had been. Looking back, much of the time I was just asking myself questions and hesitating. I guess I worried too much. But I can't be too relaxed just yet. There's no guarantee that I fooled all the cameras. This place isn't a bank. There won't be a fire alarm going off even if the guards did see me. It's possible they're rushing this way right now. I can't enjoy the air of freedom yet. I hid myself in the darkness and waited. There's still time left until the rendezvous. It's intense music. This is the soundtrack I would want for my escape attempt. I watched the school premises while waiting, but it looked like nothing strange was going on. The building was lit up, and the beautiful Western-style architecture made it hard to believe that it was a school. It should be armed with electrifying wires, searchlights, and guard dogs like the prison it is. I thought I'd experienced a surge of school memories in a situation like this, but it didn't happen. That sort of thing only happens when you have good memories. I have no good memories of this school, so there's nothing to remember. But if I could pick a series of images to recall, it'd be the luxurious dinners we had every night. So, my memories would be nothing but international cuisine. Japanese, Chinese, French, and so on. What the hell? That's just too funny. I burst into laughter. It's so funny. At that point, I heard a car approaching. I crouched in the darkness. The plate number is the same as I was expecting. That's the car. I jumped out and rushed to the passenger side, then opened the door and got in. Oh, who's her cohort? Who's breaking her out? Nice to see you. Shion-san. Shion-san. The driver was a man of early old age. He'd be angry if he heard me say that, though. Was this the bodyguard guy that was with her before that we caught a glimpse of in like 2 or 3? Something like that, I'm pretty sure. Shion's right-hand man. He'd be angry if he heard me say that, though. Oh. He thinks he's still middle-aged. He looked at my face and learned that I succeeded. He smiled. Ah, the air feels so fresh. I want to eat a burger for a start. Break out of school prison. First thing I want, burger.
学園では上品なお料理ばかりが出てると聞いてましたが。
I heard they serve excellent food in the school, but
シオンさんにだけは麦飯が出ていたんですか?
I suppose that you were served nothing but gruel, huh?
バカ、そんなわけないでしょ?
No way, dumbass.
冗談に決まってるじゃない。
I was just kidding.
ほら、笑ってる暇があったらとっととアクセルを吹かす。
Step on the gas if you have time to laugh at me.
はいはい、仰せのままに。
As you wish. Kasai really did laugh out loud. After telling me to buckle up, he accelerated. The cathedral-like school disappeared from the mirror in an instant. It disappeared so quick that I didn't have time to search for dinner memories. Goodbye, my lovely school days. Haha, I'm going to fill my stomach with junk food from now on. Get fucked! I'll forever be free from the table manners you taught me. Haha, serves you right. As we drove, the scenery began to change. Soon we were surrounded by vast fields of crops and few streetlights. It reminded me that this was just the countryside of Japan, not Europe.
お腹は空いてないですか?
Are you hungry?
どこか飯の食えるところへ寄りましょうか?
Would you like me to stop somewhere to eat?
食事してるからいい。
That's okay. I already ate. I lied. I'm actually a bit hungry. I didn't eat much at dinner to avoid slowing myself down with a full stomach. I appreciated Kasai's offer, but I didn't feel like taking the time to eat while we were still in enemy territory.
この時間ですから、高速に上がってしまうとサービスエリアへ寄っても自販機しかないですよ。
It's late, so you'll find only vending machines at the highway rest stops.
まあ、最近はハンバーガーとかの自販機もありますけどね。
Oh, I've heard there are hamburger.
そうそう、聞いた話では最近じゃおでんの自販機もあるって話です。
And Odin vending machines nowadays.
はあ?
Huh?
何それ?
What the hell?
コーヒーの自動販売機みたいに器がポロッと出てきて押したボタンの具がボトボトっと落ちてくるわけ?
Will that dispense a cup and the ingredients like a coffee vending machine?
気持ち悪い.
That's gross.
そういうのじゃないらしいですよ。
Side note, I'll always remember, it must have been junior or senior year of high school, when like our library I think, yeah, I think it was only in our, like, the school library when it got, like, a coffee and hot chocolate, like, vending machine thing, like, installed in it. I was like, whoa! I was just like Shion here, being like, what? No way! Exai says, haha, I don't think it's like that.
おでんの缶詰になってるそうで、それがゴロンと出てくるらしいんです。
It usually comes in a can.
あ、ごめん。
Sorry?
缶詰はパス。
I can't stand canned food.
缶詰、
Still?
相変わらもう
Oh.
子供じゃないでしょうに。
I thought you might have grown out of it.
嫌なもんは嫌なの。
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're just as a kid, you're like, oh, it's this simple? Ah. I haven't because I can't.
うっさいな。
Shut up.
おー、何笑ってんの？
Why are you laughing? Kasai chuckled. Also, I was talking about this earlier. I think I'm gonna like, at least I will see, you know, see if I eat my words here by the end of the chapter. But, you know, Ketchy, great character. Great to be with him for 3 chapters. I'm kind of excited. I kind of like Shion. I think I like Shion as like seeing what's happening through the eyes of Shion. This like clearly sarcastic, more sarcastic, probably not as dumb, more street smart person than like Ketchy. I think I'm gonna like the slight change pace. Kasai chuckled. He must have been trying to help me relax. He isn't usually so talkative.
私疲れちゃったよ。
I'm exhausted.
少し寝させてもらいます。
I'm going to get some sleep.
これ、リクライニングどうやって倒すの？
How do I recline this?
そっちの左側の根元を探ってみてください。
Look for the lever on the lower left part of the seat.
レバーみたいなのがありませんか？
Can you find it?
あったあった。
Oh, here it is.
よっこらしょっと。
Here I go. Kasai laughed again.
何か面白いこと私した？
Did I do something funny?
いえいえ、
No.
よっこらしょなんていう若くない言葉遣いがどことなくミヨンさんに似ておられたもので。
It's just that the way you talked sounded like Mion-san. Well, obviously. Mion and I are identical twins. We're perfect copies of each other. When I react to something, so will Mion. When Mion reacts to something in a certain situation, I'll react the same way.
お姉は元気？
How's sis?
多分元気かと。
I believe she's fine.
私も親族会議の席に親父さんをお連れするときに少しすれ違う程度ですし。
I only see her when I bring your father to the family councils.
そっか。お姉はもう実家じゃないんだったね。
That's right. She doesn't live in our parents' home anymore.
南沢の鬼ババのとこだっけ？
She's living with the hag in Hinamizawa now, isn't she?
シオンさんが学園に入られるのと一緒の時期に園崎本家に移られました。
She moved into the main house around the same time you start going to that school. I responded with disinterest, even though I was the one to ask about her in the first place. The main house is where Oryu, the current leader of the Sonozaki family, lives. That's my grandma, who I call a hag. But when we use that phrase, the main house, that usually means more than just a dwelling. What Kasai refers to is the same thing.
少しは変わった？
Did she change?
ミヨンさんがですか？
You mean Mion-san?
そう。
Yeah.
あのばあさんと朝から晩まで顔を合わせてりゃ少しは変わるでしょ。
I think she has to have changed as she's living so closely with Grandma. Kasai chuckled yet again. He knows I hate my grandma.
私が見る限り変わったようには感じません。
I haven't noticed any changes.
シオンさんの知っているミヨンさんのままですよ。
She's still the Mion-san you know.
私はどう？
What about me?
私は変わった？
Did I change?
いいえ、
No,
全然。
not at all. Kasai responded quickly with a smirk. I haven't seen him for a while, though. It's not fun if he answers this quickly. I glared at him, and then he burst out laughing.
全然変わっておられませんよ。
You haven't changed at all.
あれだけのお嬢様学校に入られたのに全く変わらないというのは驚くに値します。
That's admirable, since you've been in such a strict school for so long.
ちぇー、
Damn it.
好きなだけ笑ってろ。
Laugh as much as you want.
私は寝るよ、寝る。
I'm going to sleep.
後ろの席に毛布がありますよ。
There's a blanket in the back.
使ってください。
Please make use of it.
うん、ありがとう。
Thanks. I grabbed the blanket and rolled up in it. I'm exhausted, but I can't go to sleep. It's strange. Or maybe not. I must be tired from the escape. It's just that I'm still feeling tense. So, I have to declare it once again, if only to calm myself.
寝る。
I'm sleeping.
私は寝るよ。
I totally am.
はいはい。さっきからもう3回目です。
Alright. It's the third time you said that.
それとも私が許可しないと寝れないんですか？
Do I have to give you permission to sleep?
今日のあんたは喋りすぎ。
You're talking too much.
あんたが少し黙っててくんないと眠気も引っ込んじゃう。
I can't go to sleep if you don't quiet down.
失礼しました、姫君。
I apologize, Princess.
ではしばらく黙らせてもらいます。
I'll keep quiet now. This interaction with Kasai reminded me of the old peaceful days in Okinomiya. Well, don't really know if I can call those days peaceful. We were in the middle of the dam protest back then, after all. We all united together. Now that I think about it, we pulled a lot of pretty dangerous stunts. If the authorities ever find out what I did, I'd never escape going to juvie. Well, at least half the people in Hinamizawa would be off to prison. We didn't think of them as criminal acts, though. It was a war. I killed 17 people with my bare hands. It might also have been a festival. A festival where every person in Hinamizawa joined together in protest. It was a struggle, but it was also fun. It was fun to throw stones at the riot police with everybody. We hid ourselves in somebody's home when they chased after us. We'd even go crowd around the police station demanding the release of our arrested comrades. When we snuck into the construction site and sabotaged it, it felt more like we were playing at war than conducting one. I got so excited back then. I felt united with my fellow members, even though they were strangers to me, and that memory warms my heart. Yes, the way it felt back then was like helping everyone to carry a sacred palanquin through the village, getting all sweaty and exhausted together. Until we all collapsed face first on the ground and shared our excitement and cheers with unfamiliar faces over tea. I was just a kid back then. I remember accompanying young men who worked for my dad out to the village to do various bad things. I was arrested a few times. Didn't feel any different, though, than when I was called to the teacher's office for forgetting my homework. The other villagers were furious about the dam project, but for those of us who were kids at the time, it's a pretty fun memory. All that came to a sudden end a few years ago. It wasn't only the power of the protests that ended the dam construction project. The Sonozaki family and my dad's organization had worked secretly in the shadows. This is top secret information in the Sonozaki family, but it said they may or may not have kidnapped the Minister of Construction's grandson. Maybe did. In order to blackmail him. The grandson was found a few days after the abduction. He was found in the mountains of Yagochi. He didn't simply disappear, and he wasn't demoned away. That means that some kind of deal was made secretly. A year after that, the dam construction plan was halted indefinitely. Police suspected the villagers' involvement and investigated, but they couldn't find any leads. The villagers never betrayed each other. They'd do anything to protect their fellow man. They fabricated fake alibis and fake evidence. It was easy to deceive the police. Gah! The car suddenly shook, snapping me out of it. Oh, it was like a startled, like, gah! Okay. It must have run over a bump or something. I suddenly realized my expression was a very happy one for some reason. I must be looking forward to going home.
Shion-san?
Shion-san?
起きてますか？
Are you awake?
何？
What is it?
お帰りですが、沖宮でよろしいですよね。
Would you like me to take you to the house in Okinomiya?
他にどこに帰んのよ。
Where else would you be taking me? I answered straightforwardly with a frown. Kasai then also chose to reply straightforwardly.
シオンさんを全寮制の学園に入学させる決定は、園崎本家当主が下したものです。
It was the family head who decided on your enrollment in St. Lucia.
シオンさんはその学園を抜け出した。
And you ran away from there.
どういうことかお分かりですね。
You do understand the situation you're in?
ばあさんの決めた学校が私に合わなかったってだけでしょ。
The school grandma chose didn't fit me. That's all.
シオンさん。
Shion-san.
わーってるって。
I know.
うっさいな。
Shut up. As the head of the Sonozaki family, the hag's decisions are absolute. They're nothing like, say, the 3-second rule. Worse, the decision to confine me to an academy far away from the Sonozaki family was made before I was even born. Shion was the name they gave me. My sister, Mion, has a character that means demon in her name. That was to signify that she is the successor of demons. In other words, she would be the successor to the Sonozaki family and its demonic bloodline. My name, Shion, has a character that means temple in it. This means that I was destined to take the veil and be confined in a temple. Thinking of that reminds me how much I hate this name of mine. For starters, the person known as Shion is an abominable being to the Sonozaki family. I kept wanting to say abdomen for some reason. Because it meant the family had 2 heirs. I don't have to cite the countless historical examples to explain. It's easy to imagine how that could prove troublesome for succession. According to our long-held family traditions, one of the twins was to be strangled to death right after birth. Unbelievable, isn't it? What that means is that I have to be grateful just to be alive and breathing to this day. I heard the hag actually put her hands around my neck right after I was born. I don't know what exchange took place in that moment. Maybe some brave relative of mine managed to get her to stop. Or maybe she was in an extremely good mood that day. Then don't try to strangle me. We're twins. There are no apparent differences between us. But the first one out of my mom's stomach was named Mion, and the second one drew the short straw and got named Shion. Everyone else was desperate to tell us apart, but we sisters just found that awfully ridiculous. There wasn't any difference between us. No one could tell us apart, even if we only swapped hats. We wondered why all the grown-ups were trying to see the differences. Well, our fun as twins didn't last forever. One day, they created an undeniable, clear distinction between Mion and Shion. Mion went to the main Sonozaki house to live with the hag and to learn how to become the successor. And I was to be confined at St. Lucia's. I have no objection to Sis's inheritance. I used to be jealous, but now I feel that having to learn about and follow the traditions would just make me tired. I even feel sorry for Mion. So, I'm not going to be a threat to the family even if I'm back in Okinomiya. But the hag doesn't seem to think that way. She thinks of me as some kind of evil omen. That's why she wanted to keep me away from her. It doesn't matter to me. I don't want to see her face either. I don't care if she doesn't allow me to enter Hinamizawa. She can charge me 10,000 yen per step I take there. But I want her to let me live in Okinomiya, where I grew up. When I was little, I was in Hinamizawa, but I don't remember it much. And I'm not very attached to it. I do have good memories of my elementary school days in Okinomiya. The town isn't very sophisticated, but I kind of like it there.
沖宮の町へ帰れば親族の誰かの目に触れることになります。
If you go back to Okinomiya, somebody from the family will notice you.
やがては必ず本家の知るところになります。
And then they'll report you to the main house.
ばあさんの耳に入ったらどうなるかってこと？
Are you worried that Grandma will hear about me?
まあそりゃやばいことにはなるかもね。
That might be a problem.
お分かりならいいんですがね。
Hope you understand the situation.
なーに、カサイ。
What, Kasai?
あんた今から私に引き返してあそこへ戻れって言ってるわけ？
Are you telling me to go back to that awful place?
まさか。
No,
そんなことは言いませんよ。
I'm not.
私が言いたいのは。
What I'm trying to say is...
相応の覚悟はあるんだろうなってことでしょ。
You want to know whether I'm prepared or not?
口先だけでなく、本当に理解してるんならいいんですがね。
I just hope you understand what might happen.
まあ、そうだろうね。
Well, I know what you mean.
万が一の時は、脱走の手伝いをしたカサイも責任は免れないだろうしね。
You'll be held responsible for helping me escape if things go bad, right?
カサイも小指に未練があるなら、今のうちに小指にいっぱいキスをしておいた方がいいんじゃない？
You should caress your pinky finger while you can, Kasai, before they take it away from you.
その時はシオンさんもすまきにされて鬼が淵沼に放り込まれるくらいの覚悟をしてくださいよ。
You should look forward to being rolled up in a futon man thrown into the Onigafuchi swamp in that case.
ああ、あるいは本家離れの秘密部屋送りかも。
Ah, maybe we'll send you to the torture room in the garden. I heard there's a big torture room in the main Sonozaki house. I've never seen it, though. I heard they used to torture and kill the enemies of the village in there. It's just awful, really. Hope I don't end up as a victim of that place.
はいはい。
Okay, okay.
なんとかなるって。
Everything's going to be alright.
つくづくシオンさんは姉さんに似ている。
You really resemble your mother.
その出たとこ勝負的なところが特にです。
In the way you take chances, I mean.
そりゃ似るでしょ。実際の母親だもん。
That's normal. She's my mom. Ah, ha ha ha. My dad and mom will be furious if they find out about my escape. I'm more afraid of them than of the hag. I don't want to go into the details, but my dad is part of the Yakuza. He's in charge of the organization which covers the Shishibone area. He's in a very important position. So is Kasai here. He's an old friend of Dad who really trusts him. I don't know if this is true, but I heard Kasai used to be very aggressive, though he's gentle now. I also heard he has tons of scars. He was in charge of a few large areas, but after he was injured badly in a fight, he retired. Now he's my dad's consultant, aka a drinking buddy. He was my caretaker in my childhood, and now I feel like he's my butler. At first, I thought my dad asked him to supervise me, so I hated him. But in time, I started to feel like he was on my side. This is just a hunch. But I think Kasai used to be in love with my mom. Kasai lore? My dad, mom, and Kasai were in a love triangle. Though my dad took the lead in the end. Kasai couldn't leave my mom entirely, so he stayed around as my dad's friend. Damn. Rough. I can tell that from the way he acts. He's seeing my mom in me. That's why he says I look like my mom every now and then. Kinda gave me the creeps at first. That's what I was about to say. Kinda... but he isn't a bad guy at all. He's actually pretty funny. I only found that out after I got used to him. So when I thought about escaping, I naturally turned to him. I contacted him in an early stage of my plan and arranged to meet him today. You could call him a conspirator. It's not surprising he's worried about my return to Okinomiya. Considering the rules and traditions, cutting off his pinky finger isn't too far from reality. Ah ha ha, it might be rolled up in a futon man thrown into the swamp for real, too. Even so, there's only one place for me to return. I'm going to Okinomiya, and nowhere else. That's my hometown. This might be a kind of homesickness, but I don't care what it looks like.
実際どうするつもりです。
So, what are you going to do?
園崎一族の目はそこいら中にありますよ。
Sonozaki family is everywhere.
まあ、最初はのんびり隠れながら過ごします。
Well, I'll lay low for now.
仮に姿を見られたって、ミオンだって言い張ればいいんだしね。
If somebody sees me, I'll tell them I'm Mion.
それから
Then what?
で、ほとぼりが冷めてきたら、私に近しい親類から徐々に打ち明けていく。
Then, after things calm down a little bit, I'll start talking to my closest relatives.
私に味方になってくれる人たちだってそこそこにいるからね。
I know they'll be on my side.
私も親父と大喧嘩した時、あちこちでいろんな人にかくまってもらったし。
I know some people who covered for me when I had a fight with my dad once.
なるほど。
I see.
味方と既成事実を十分に作り上げてから最終的には園崎本家にもおめこぼしをもらおうというつもりですね。
You're trying to create a fait accompli so that the Sonozaki main house will have to accept you later on?
うまくいきますかどうか。
Hope that works.
行くって。
It will!
そもそも私を学園送りにする決定だって結構みんな反対してくれてたもんね。
There are many people who are opposed to the idea of enrolling me in that school.
あれは私をやたらと嫌った鬼ババの猜疑心からの決定みたいなもんだったし。
That decision was obviously made because of the hag's hatred toward me.
葛西もそう思うでしょ？
Don't you agree, Kasai?
ええ、まあ
Well, yes.
私もあの決定にはさすがにやりすぎとは思いました。
I thought that decision was excessive.
鬼ババはとっくに更年期障害で正常な思考なんかできなくなってんの。
She couldn't make the right decision because she was suffering from menopause.
あのダム戦争の興奮で頭がいかれちゃって まだその時の興奮が抜けきってないんじゃないかな。たく。
All the fuss surrounding the dam protest drove her nuts. Kasai smiled. I couldn't go to sleep after all, even though I was rolled up in a blanket. Even though I told Kasai to shut up, I kept talking to him. In time, I got tired of talking. As I could feel the car run smoothly on the highway, Kasai spoke to me again.
Shion-san.
Shion-san.
Hora.
Look. I was so tired that I ignored him. I wondered what he wanted me to look at, but I wasn't that interested. Yet I opened my eyes slightly and saw a sign quickly pass by. Kasai probably wanted me to see that sign. It had an illustration of azaleas around the letters that said, "Welcome to Shishibone City. My hometown is coming right up." Oh, we get a nice little... Ah, nice. I was literally just about to say, yes, I hope we get, like, the actors' names and stuff. Like, it's a fucking... a sitcom of some sort. Takes me back to the beginning of Umineko. Yeah, I can already tell that they kind of like, I don't want to say upped the production, but they kind of, I think, oh, fuck, that startled me. Jesus. Fuck what I was saying. Oh, this goes hard. We back? Ah, new tips. Broke out of prison. Wait, we got new tips menu screen music? Honestly, random tinks and tonks. Kind of better than the Gregorian chanting we had at the very beginning. Sorry, I'm just vibing to the music. Alright, the notebook's beginning. June 1982. Satoshi Hojo disappeared several days after the Watanagashi festival. There are 3 possible reasons for his disappearance. One possibility is that it was an accident. Dead bodies sometimes end up in irrigation channels a few months after hit-and-run incidents. But since the police did a thorough search of the area and hadn't found his body, this possibility seems small. Second possibility is a self-motivated disappearance. Satoshi-kun has been living in dire circumstances. His close friends actually heard him imply he might run away. Police thought he skipped town after killing his aunt. What is this music? That seemed plausible considering that aspect. It's like, God, what does that sound effect remind me so much of? Bop, bop. Bop, bop, bop. Something, damn. But the police arrested another person for the murder, so this hypothesis might also be considered false. The last possibility is that he was involved in the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamazawa. It's also called the Curse of Oishiro-sama. He fell victim to it, disappeared. Unless Oishiro-sama's occult power is actually verified, this curse must be the act of humans. It's only natural to assume that Satoshi-kun was made to disappear by someone's will. So, the question is, whose? Possibilities are quite limited. Culprit is either a member of the Sonozaki family, a member of the three families, or one of their many relatives. Police can assume that easily. I need to think beyond that. Who did it? How did it happen? And why did it have to be done? Why did Satoshi-kun fall victim? What was the motive? Who gave out that order? Who actually did it? The mastermind, the culprit, and the truth are all in reach of my grasp. And now that we know we saw the events of chapter 4 take place, now we know, like, the one writing this, you would have to assume, unless I'm very wrong, you would have to assume that this is the writings of Akasaka or Oishi, as they're trying to figure out what had happened to the village and what happened, you know? Maybe I'll find them right behind my back, but even so, I can't reach everywhere. There are parts of my back I have yet to make an effort, to reach, clenching my teeth and cracking my joints so that the tips of my fingers can barely touch them. The truth is hidden in places like those. I'm writing this because I need to organize my thoughts and memories. Nobody will read it other than myself. But if somebody does, that means that either I threw these notes away because I no longer needed them, or I fell victim to the curse of Oishiro-sama in the middle of my attempt to solve the mystery. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, and I'm reading it. Uh-oh. If it was the former, that's okay. But if it was the latter, please, I want you to help me. Please help this powerless young girl. Oh! Never mind. Or... hit the panic button. No, I'm joking. Could be referencing the young girl being referenced there. Most likely be Rika, right? Fresh save screen. Perfect. They even changed the sound effects? 1982 AD. The fourth year of the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamazawa, also known as Oishiro-sama's curse. 1 year prior to Kechimaiba's transfer. Oh, I'm very glad, very thankful for this timeline. Letting us know where we're at. Not part of the mystery. I didn't hear a wake-up chime. I'm not in school anymore. My brain is half asleep, but I'm aware of that. Waking up at the same time as the chime would go off at school doesn't feel good. I can't go back to sleep after this. Still, I'm not going to live a torturous school life anymore. I can make today either happy or boring. It's up to me. Yay, it's really positive. I feel like I'm alive for the first time in a while. I didn't have any other clothes, so I was still wearing the school track uniform. It's supposed to have been designed by some famous Italian person, but it just looks plain to me. It really doesn't feel great still being closed from that school. I want to enjoy my freedom as soon as possible. I especially don't want to walk around outside wearing it. I should have Kasai bring me some new clothes later. And I should think of redecorating this room. After all, it's going to be my castle from now on. This is a room in a gorgeous apartment building in the suburbs of Okinomiya. Property is one a realtor my dad's conglomerate obtained after foreclosure due to some sort of dispute. Most of the residents moved out during that, so while there are plenty of rooms, it's a lonely complex that feels devoid of people. Plus, with the exception of the manager and a scant one or two others, all the residents are shady-looking people connected to my dad. Probably won't be much longer before the virtuous residents are driven out. The apartment I'm living in used to be the room they'd use for viewing, so it looks like a room in a business hotel. It's fully furnished, but lacking in daily necessities. I'll buy those things over time, though.
むしろその方がいいよね。
It's better that way anyway.
自分の部屋っていう実感が湧くし。
It'll make it feel more like my own room. I nodded to myself. It might have looked stupid, but it helped psych me up. At the school, there was a TV only in the common room, and we weren't allowed to watch any cable channels. I zapped through all those channels as a form of emancipation. It was early in the morning, so nothing interesting was on. But I enjoyed it anyway. Commercials are fun to watch. Kasai dropped by with lunch right when I started to feel hungry.
シオンさん、おはようございます。
Good morning, Shion-san.
ゆうべはよく眠れましたか？
Did you sleep well last night?
ソファーに毛布でゴロ寝は結構辛いです。
Sleeping on the couch was a bit too uncomfortable.
やっぱ日本人はちゃんと布団敷いて床に寝ないとね。
As a Japanese person, I want to sleep in a futon on the floor.
たくあんが美味しい。
This pickled radish is good.
それはよかった。
That's good to hear.
後で必要なものを教えてください。
Please let me know what you need later on.
可能な限り揃えるようにします。
I'll try to get as much help as I can. I'll try to get as much as I can.
ありがとう。
Thanks.
あ、でもそんなに気を使わないでいいです。
Oh, but you don't need to worry so much about me.
私の好きで始めた生活だし。
I chose this life for myself anyway.
葛西だってたかられたらお財布持たないでしょ。
And your wallet wouldn't last if I started extorting you, right? I have to be serious about my plan. I can't let myself take advantage of Kasai's wallet forever.
バイトでもしようと思います。
I think I'm going to start a part-time job.
生活費くらいは自分で稼がないとね。
I have to earn my own living.
私が選んだ生活なんだから自分で何とかするのは当然。
This is the life I chose, so naturally I have to take care of it myself.
それはたくましい限りです。
That's reassuring to hear.
でもいいんですか？
But are you sure?
外を歩けばやがては親族の誰かに見つかりますよ。
If you go outside, eventually someone in the family will discover you.
そこは少しは考えてある。
I gave that a little thought,
そこでミオンの力がいるわけよ。
which is why I'll need Mion's help.
葛西さ、本家に電話してもらっていい？
Kasai, would you mind calling the main house for me?
ミオンが出たら受話器変わって。
When Mion answers, pass me the receiver.
やれやれ、何を企んでるやら。
Oh well, whatever you say.
どういう作戦ですか？
What could be your plan? Kasai dialed the number. It's funny to me that we're calling the main house, even though that's the place I want most to avoid at the moment.
もしもし。
Hello?
おはようございます。
Good morning.
ミオンさんですか？
Is this Mion-san?
ご無沙汰しています。葛西です。
It's been a while. This is Kasai.
ええ、
Yes.
おはようございます。
Good morning.
少しお待ちいただけますか？
Could you hold for a moment?
今受話器を代わります。
I'm letting someone else on the phone. I take the handset.
もしもし。
Hello?
私が誰だかわかります？
Can you tell who this is?
その声は。
That voice.
でもそんなはずは。
But that can't be true.
シオンはセントルチア学園に幽閉されてるはず。
Shion's still supposed to be confined to St. Lucia's.
そんなはずはない。
You can't be her.
学園では外部との電話は禁止だからね。
Yeah, they forbid outside calls at the academy.
それが電話してきたってことは。
But you're talking to me right now.
血の巡りの悪いお姉でも意味がわかるでしょ？
Even my dim-witted older sister should understand what that means.
あんた学園抜け出したの？
Did you sneak out of the school?
どうやって？
How?
そんなことはどうでもいい。
That's not important.
会いたかったですよ。お姉。
I really missed you, sis. Shion. That was as far as I could take it, and Mion had hit her limit too. Oh, ho, ho. Ha, ha, ha. We both burst into laughter, unable to keep up our act. It's been a while since we laughed out loud with each other like this.
久しぶりだよ、シオン。
It's been forever, Shion.
あんた本当にどうしたの？
Seriously, what's happened with you?
どうしたもこうしたも。
There's not much else to it.
別に私は嘘吐いてないです。
I haven't lied or anything.
じゃああんた本当に脱走したの？
Wait, then you really ran away?
やっる。
Oh, great job.
私を閉じ込めておくにはちょっと警備が甘かったかもね。
The security wasn't tight enough to keep me locked up in there.
学園はシオンが穏便に脱走したことに感謝するべきかもね。
Maybe the school should be grateful you escaped quietly.
本気のシオンだったら全施設を爆破してから脱走するくらい朝飯前かも。
If you were serious, it'd be easy for you to blow up the whole building to make your escape.
爆破はできないけど放火くらいはやるかもね。
Well, I couldn't have done that, but I might have set it on fire. Kasai smiled at us in amazement, his face a blend of amusement and exasperation.
おね、今は電話大丈夫なの？
Is it okay to talk to you now?
大丈夫。
It's alright.
バッチャはお稽古に行っちゃってる。
Granny is out for a lesson.
今日は帰りは夕方になるって言ってた。
She's coming home later in the evening.
それは好都合。
That's good.
近いうちに会って話をしましょうね。
We should get together and talk soon.
とりあえず今日のところは電話で。
Just over the phone for today, though. Okay.
本家に学園から私が脱走したっていう連絡は来てます？
Did anybody report my escape to our report my escape to our grandmother?
いや、
Nope.
来てない。
We've heard nothing.
本家の電話も来客も全部私が通すから、私を素通りしてバッチャに連絡行くことはない。
I pass along all the calls and guests for the main family now, so no news reaches Granny without going through me.
だから来てないって断言できると思う。
I'm sure she doesn't know.
ほう、
Wow,
そりゃすごい。
that's awesome.
さすが園崎本家次期当主。
You really sound like the next leader of the Sonozaki family.
私はそんなの嫌だよ。シオンが変わってよ。
You know that I don't like that. You should have taken my place.
鬼がついてるのはお姉でしょ。
You're the one with the demon, aren't you?
まあせいぜい頑張ってください。
Well, keep giving it your all.
陰ながら応援いたしております。
I'll be rooting for you from the shadows.
まあそんなことはどうでもいいや。
Anyway, it's not important now.
すごい人事っぽい言い方だな。
You sound so indifferent.
まあいいや。
Well, that's okay, I guess.
私関連で何か動きがあったら、葛西に連絡をよろです。
If you hear anything about me, give Kasai a call, okay?
ここの番号はお姉には教えてもいいかなと思うけど、しばらくは内緒にしときますね。
I'd like to give you my number here, but I'll keep it a secret for the time being.
ごめん。
Sorry.
そうだね。
Alright.
学園脱走したって話がバッチャの耳に入ったら、いろいろ面倒になると思うよ。
If Granny hears you fled the school, there'll be all kinds of trouble.
連絡の件は了解。
I'll be on the lookout for now,
何か動きがあったら、葛西さんに伝えとく。
and I'll let Kasai know if something happens.
ありがとうです。
Thanks.
それとあと、お姉にお願いがあるんだけど。
I also have a favor to ask.
そう来ると思った。
I figured you would.
あ、お金は無理だよ。
Oh, money's out of the question, okay?
さすがにお金を無心できるとは思ってません。
I never thought I could pester you for money.
お姉にはちょっと私のバイトのお手伝いをお願いしたいんです。
I just want to ask you for a little help with my part-time job.
なるほどね。
I see.
そういうことか。
So that's it then.
で、具体的にはどうするの？
What exactly do you need? We can communicate fast in a situation like this. We don't have to get into details because we know what's on each other's minds.
吉郎おじさん、私の味方だったじゃないですか。
Uncle Yoshiro is on my side, isn't he?
吉郎おじさんの持ってるお店のどれかでバイトできないか打診してみます。
I'm going to try to see if I can get a part-time job at one of the businesses he owns.
で、シフトが決まったらお姉に連絡しますから。
Then I'll call you when I know my shift.
あんたがバイトしてる時間帯には消えてりゃいいわけだね。
So I just have to disappear while you're working, right?
めんどくさい役だな。
That's a little taxing.
何ですかお姉？
What are you saying, sis?
双子の妹の頼みを断る？
Are you turning down your only sister's request?
本当に？
Seriously?
いいよいいよ、引き受けるよ。
Alright, I'll do it.
あんたの頼みは断ると後が嫌だ。
I wouldn't want to see how you would retaliate if I turned you down.
サンキューです。
Thanks.
今度シュランクベルタのケーキでもおごるから。
I'll buy you a cake from Schlanky Bertha's, whatever.
かわいいタルト山ほど食べさせてあげますから。
I'll throw in tons of pretty tarts too.
あ、シオン、
Shion?
シュランクベルタね。去年の秋に店閉じちゃったんだよ。
Schlink Bertha closed last year. Or fall. Huh?
あ、そうなんだ。
Is that so?
うん。
Yeah.
マスターが脳梗塞で倒れてね。
The owner had a stroke.
退院してから一度は店を開けたんだけど、
He reopened the store once,
やっぱり体が持たないらしくてさ。
but he got sick again.
惜しまれたけど閉店しちゃったわけ。
So he had to shut it down.
そっか。
I see.
そりゃあ残念です。
That's a shame.
欲張りモンブランをお腹いっぱい食べる夢はもう夢のままで終わっちゃったんですね。
I won't be able to eat their Mont Blanc cakes to my heart's content anymore. I was disappointed that my favorite cake shop had closed down, but more so that this town had changed without my knowing while I was gone. It was kind of regrettable.
他にも変わったこと、私の知らないことある？
Are there any other changes I don't know about?
う
Yeah,
ん、いくつかある。
there are some.
今度会ったら全部話すね。
I'll tell you when we meet up next time.
ありがとう。
Thanks.
私も学園で見てきたこと全部話しますね。
I'll tell you about my school life.
近いうちに機会を設けましょう。
Let's set a date.
追ってこっちから連絡します。
I'll call you.
うん。
Alright,
わかった。
I'll see you then.
ミオン、
Mia?
何？
What is it?
元気でやってる？
How are you?
もちろん。
I'm fine.
ならよかった。
Glad to hear that.
切るよ。
Hanging up now.
Mm.
Okay.
じゃあね。
See you. It's really been a while since I last talked to her. I put down the phone and heaved a sigh as Kasai brought in some tea.
結局どういう話になったんですか？
So, how did it go?
吉郎おじさん、私のことを可愛がっててくれたじゃない？
Do you remember Uncle Yoshiro, who was in favor of me staying?
おじさんにね、私が学園を抜け出してきたのを打ち明けようと思います。
I'll talk to him about my escape.
で、おじさんの持ってるお店のどれかでささやかに働かせてもらえたらなって。
And ask him if he can hire me to work at one of his stores.
人目に触れますよ。
Are you sure?
吉郎さんはいいとしても、他
Some
の親類に見つかるかもしれないじゃないですか。
some other relative might find out.
そのためのお姉ってわけよ。
That's why I asked this a favor.
私が働く時間が決まったらお姉に連絡する。
I'll contact her when my shift is set.
で、お姉は私が働いている時間にはちょっと人目を忍んでくれればいいわけ。
And she'll disappear while I'm working.
わかる？
So much work for this stupid plan. Just so that an escaped from school sister can work part-time. Do you get the picture? Because I look puzzled. It's not really that difficult to
つ
grasp.
まり簡単。
It's simple.
バイト中に私が何か咎められるようなことになったら、私がミオンだと言い張ればいいだけの話なんです。
If somebody finds me at work, I'll tell them that I'm Mion.
わかり？
Do you get it now? Normal people wouldn't buy this kind of plan. But Kasai knows too well how easy it is for my sis and me to trade places.
つくづく大胆というか、悪知恵が働くというか。
That's audacious. Or shrewd, I should say.
いやいや、脱帽です。
I'm impressed.
もちろん褒め言葉だよね、葛西。
Is that a compliment, Kasai? Kasai looked amazed. If things go south, it'll affect him too. Considering the rules of my dad's profession, he won't be able to get away with just a mere apology. That's why he doesn't want me to do anything too risky. I think I have to make it up to him, since he helped me escape even knowing that risk. Good old Angel Mort. Alright, no problem.
シオンちゃんのことをどうのこうの言うやつがいたら俺が少し締めとくから。
If I find somebody talking bad about you, I'll beat them up.
やっぱ吉郎おじさんは頼りになります。
Thank you so much.
おじさんならきっと助けてくれると思ってました。
I knew I could rely on you, Uncle Yoshiro. Uncle Yoshiro pounded his chest with his fist after offering me his assurance. He seemed glad that I turned to him first.
いいんだよ。
I'd be happy to help.
俺はシオンちゃんの自分の生活費は自分で稼ぎたいっていう気概に感心してるんだ。
Since I'm so impressed that you're trying to support yourself.
金をたかりに来たんだったら本家に突き出してるところだぜ。
If you're here for money, I'd turn you into your grandmother right away.
えへ
What?
ああ、おじさん怖い。
You're scaring me, Uncle. I knew he was reliable. He understood my situation straight away and promised to help.
店長、シフト表持ってきました。
Manager, here's a shift chart.
ここに置きますね。
I'll put it here. One of the store clerks brought out a work schedule. There are many things I'm unfamiliar with written on it.
で、シオンちゃんはどのくらい働けるんだい？
So, how much can you work?
私とお姉の都合次第かな。
That depends on our respective schedules.
できたら私の指定する日だけ入れるのが一番いいんですが。
I hope I can get in when I want to.
おいおい、そんな虫のいいこと言うやつ面接じゃ会ったことないぜ。
Hey, that sounds a little irresponsible.
まあな、仕方ないもんな。
But I know you're in a difficult situation. I'm depending on Mion for my work. Our schedules have to match. Of course, Uncle Yoshiro understood that. But I also knew he couldn't afford a selfish part-timer who only works when she wants to. So I assume, okay, so Shion gets whisked away to the school against her will, basically. You know, the family probably views it as like, hey, she should be grateful. This is an alternative to, you know, us just killing her outright when she was born as a twin to Mion. She goes to this boarding school thing. She hates it there. She doesn't fit in. She breaks out. She gets on the phone with Mion, and they act like, oh man, we're such the best of friends as sisters. Oh, we didn't have to, you know, oh, the distance between us, and now, you know, we love each other. Whatever. We know that this is said in the timeline a year prior to when Kechi moves into the village. So I assume, because then when we know it, when we were playing as Kechi, the relationship between Mion and Shion seemed very contentious, very stressed, strained, not great. So I assume, unless I'm reading in too much into the situation, their relationship, and potentially this as a catalyst of them having to live this on and off lifestyle over the course of a year, probably takes its toll on the relationship between the two of them. And maybe more things that Shion or Mion does, depending on this year. They really get on each other's nerves at some point. I would assume it doesn't go swimmingly. But I also knew he couldn't afford a selfish part-timer who only works when she wants to. In the end, he decided to hire me as an office helper, not an official worker. As a temp, I wouldn't have a work schedule. My uncle also decided to pay me out of his own pocket. Yeah, to avoid those nasty taxes. Or something.
体裁は構いません。生活費が稼げればそれで OK です。
It's fine as long as I can make enough to support myself.
じゃあ、そういうことで頼むぜ。
Sure.
一応金を払うんだから、仕事中はしっかり頼むぜ。
I expect to get what I'm paying for, okay?
あと、事務所内じゃおじさんは勘弁な。
Don't call me uncle in the office either.
はいはい、分かってますよ。店長さん。
Alright, manager.
ふつつかものですけど、よろしくお願いします。
Thanks for hiring me.
こちらこそ、どうぞよろしく。
Good, you get it. Once all the business talk was over, my uncle hounded me with all kinds of questions. He asked me things like, what was it like in a prestigious girls' boarding school? And so on. Apparently there are all kinds of rumors going around about the St. Lucia Academy I was confined to, and everyone was curious about it. I had a few embellishments of my own as I explained how unordinary life at that school was. My uncle looked extremely delighted to hear all the little details about life in a secret garden for girls. Horny bastard. Once my uncle was satisfied, it was my turn to ask all kinds of questions. I wanted to know if anything peculiar had happened while I was gone. I won't be able to act like Mion unless I can fill in the gap of information left in the past 2 years.
そんなに大きく変わったことはないな。
There haven't been many big changes.
ダム戦争が終わってからこっちはもうそりゃのんびりしたもんさ。
It's been quiet since the end of the dam conflict.
私はダムの計画中止が発表されて少ししてから学園に行ったからな。
I went to the academy only a bit after they froze the project.
私がこっちにいた時はまだほんの少しピリピリしたムードが残ってましたよ。
There was still a bit of tension then.
中止発表の後の1年くらいは同盟も計画は凍結されただけで中止になったわけじゃないって言って神経質になってたんだけどな。
Even after they shut down construction, things were still tense because the project was entirely cancelled.
翌年には解散式をやったよ。
But the Onigafuchi Guardians disbanded about a year later.
南沢の境内で大式典だった。
There was a big ceremony held at the shrine.
それでダム戦争は本当に終わりだな。
That's when the dam conflict officially ended.
じゃあ私が閉じ込められたすぐ後だ。
That's right after I was imprisoned.
戦争も終わっちゃってみんなふぬけちゃった感じ？
Is everybody slacking now that the conflict is over?
シオンちゃんなんかはダム戦争は戦争ごっこみたいで楽しかったんじゃないか？
Guess you all had fun playing at war back then during the dam protest, didn't you?
子供たちが警察のお世話になるたびに引き取りに行っていろいろいじめられた大人の身にもなってくれよ。
Try to imagine how much suffering the adults went through every time they had to come pick up their kids from the police station.
まあ確かに否定はできないかな。
Well, I can't deny that.
私ら子供にとってはダム戦争はかなり遊べるイベントでしたし。
It was like a festival for us. Uncle Yoshiro seemed exasperated at how differently kids and adults treated the conflict.
そういえばバラバラ殺人なんてのがありましたよね。
Oh yeah, there was that dismemberment murder, wasn't there?
あのクソムカつく現場監督の野郎がバラバラにされたやつ。
The one where that fucking jerk of a construction manager got split into pieces?
あれ確か犯人がまだ全員捕まってなかったですよね。
They still haven't caught the culprit behind that, have they?
捕まったんですか？
Did they finally catch him?
ああ、確か初犯がまだ捕まってねえんだよな。
Ah, come to think of it.
そうそう、確か捕まってないはず。
I don't think they caught him yet, no.
しかもひなみ沢の守り神お社様を祀る綿流しの晩にね。
It happened on the night of Watanagashi, didn't it?
当時お社様のたたりだって騒がれたのを覚えてます。
I remember everyone making a fuss about it being Oishiro-sama's curse.
あれ子供的には結構怖かったな。
That was pretty scary of us kids. Scary for us kids.
ああ、お社様のたたりね。
Yeah, Oishiro-sama's curse.
その翌年にも起きたんだよな。
That happened the year after, too.
そうそう
That's right!
あれも怖かったですね。
That was scary too, wasn't it?
何でしたっけ？ダムの賛成派の男が事故で死んだやつ。
Who was it again? That guy who supported the dam died in an accident, right?
北条だっけ？
Hojo, wasn't it?
しかもまたしてもお社様を祀る綿流しの日に。
And it happened on the day of Watanagashi once again.
これはもうたたりしかありえないってずいぶん騒いだっけ。
Everyone went crazy, saying it had to be a curse.
あれは怖かったです。
It was horrifying.
うんうん。
Definitely. The construction manager that everyone hated was killed and dismembered on the night of the Watanagashi festival. That incident, on its own, was more than intense enough for us kids. Worse, part of his body was never found, which made almost a ghost story amongst us. We seriously believed that the severed right arm was roaming in search of the body it belonged to. It didn't take long for the rumor of Oyashiro-sama's curse to become a topic of discussion among occult researchers and the like, considering the circumstantial factors. Even so, the rumor faded away after about a year. After the dam project was officially frozen, we held Watanagashi purely as a festival. But the curse struck again. The victim was a pro-dam activist who lived in Hinamazawa by the name of Hojo. He and his wife were on a trip when they fell from a cliff to their deaths. It was considered an accident. Technically, police are still searching for the wife's body. If I remember right, they never did find it, did they? Once again, the man most worthy of Oji Shirosama's curse fell victim on the night of the Watanagashi festival. So the fuss over Oji Shirosama's curse rose up again. Until then, Oji Shirosama wasn't considered very important. At least in the world of us kids, it was just the name of the object of worship in the shrine, nothing more than that. I'd seen boys peeing on the archway, and I once stuck my hand into the offertory box. The existence of a god didn't matter much to us. But after 2 consecutive occurrences, the kids no longer doubted the existence of a curse. We were all shaken in fear of Oji Shirosama. Everybody suddenly became interested in the old stories about him too. We quietly listened to the musty old stories the elders had to tell, and we started genuinely believing the tales of Oji Shirosama's miracles, which any of us would have laughed away before. Oji Shirosama's rules were awfully simple and clear. Enemies treading into Hinamazawa will be cursed. Villagers leaving the village will be cursed. What defined the village was terribly vague. Were we never allowed to leave Hinamazawa village? Was going to Okinomiya still safe? Was a single step enough to be out? Was a 3-day, 2-night hot spring trip still safe? We kids tried to draw a line. It was decided in the end that if you had a house in Hinamazawa or Okinomiya, you were safe, and it was okay to go on trips if you had a house in either area. I know it's weird, but those rules were made up by kids after all. According to those rules, I'd be cursed, since I lived at a boarding school in such a remote area. I couldn't say it out loud because I felt embarrassed, but in fact, I was a little scared of the curse.
でさ、その翌年にも起こったんだよな。
Yeah, happened again this year, the year after.
やっぱり2年連続ってのは結構きますよね。
It sure is scary when it happens 2 years in a row.
私は今でもお社様は信じてるな。
I still believe in Oji Shirosama's power.
シオンちゃん、2年なんてもんじゃないよ。知らないの？
Shion-chan, what are you saying? Don't you know?
知らないですよ。
No.
何の話？
About what?
そっか。
Oh, right.
シオンちゃんはあれの直前に学園に行っちゃったんだもんな。
You went to that school before it happened.
知らないよな。
That's why you don't know. They don't know. Where do I still have it? Oh, it's supposed to go under. There you go. She doesn't know. Uncle Yoshira grimaced as if he said too much. As though he'd mentioned something I shouldn't know about.
何おじさん。
What is it?
そこまで話を振っておいて急に黙られると面白くないですよ。
You can't leave me hanging like that.
まあ、シオンちゃんももう小さい子じゃないもんな。
Well, I think you're mature enough now.
おじさん、私を見てまだ小さい子供っていうのなら、眼科行くか回し蹴り食らうかのどちらかを選んでもらうことになるんですけど。
Hey, if you think my body looks underdeveloped, you should see an eye doctor. Either that or you're a pedo.
もう、わかったよ。
Ah, okay.
別に隠しゃしないよ。
I'll talk.
あったんだよ。その後も。
It happened again the year after that.
あったって？
What happened?
おじさん、さっきから何の話？
What are you talking about? Tick. When I was very little, I always had this tick before I heard something bad. It was like a gnome who lived inside me was giving me a warning. Like he was poking me with a small needle. When I felt this tick before my parents called me, they'd always either chide me or tell me something bad. So I used to run away when I felt it. But my senses seemed to have grown dull over the years. Even though my gnome poked at me, I just sat there. What a funny way of describing it. Ah, there's a gnome inside of me.
な。
It's my ticking gnome.
実は賛成派の北条が転落事故で死んだ次の年にもな。
The year after the death of the Hojos.
つまりは去年なんだが。
It happened again.
またあったんだよ。
Last year, in other words.
あったって。
Did it
また綿流しの日に？
happen on the day of Watanagashi?
3年連続で？
Again?
また？
3 years in a row?
そうなんだよ。
That's right.
ほら、 ひなみ沢の神社あるよな。
You know there's a shrine in Hinamazawa?
フルデ神社。
The Furude Shrine?
あそこの神主が祭りの夜に突然ぽっくりいっちまってよ。
The priest suddenly died on the night of the festival.
聞いた話じゃ原因不明の奇病で急死したとかしないとか。
They said that the cause of death was an unknown illness.
それもまたしても綿流しの夜に。
And the same night his wife threw herself into the swamp.
で、かみさんもその晩のうちに沼に飛び込んじまって。そりゃもう大騒ぎさ。
There was a big uproar.
村長たちが集まっててんやわんやの。
The mayor even had to hold an emergency meeting. Well. It's real as shit, Shion.
うん。
Hmm.
奇病ってのはおひれだと思うけどね。
I don't think the bit about the illness is true,
急死したってのは本当。
but the death was very sudden.
神主さんは綿流しの準備で大変だったと思うし、あの頃は少し体調を崩してたみたいだからね。
The priest was busy preparing for the festival and he'd gotten sick around that time.
急性心不全とかそういう感じのよくあるやつだったんだと私は思ってるけどね。
So I guess he died of a heart attack or something.
でも綿流しの日にってのが異常でしょ。
But it's just crazy that somebody died on the day of Watanagashi again.
それも3年連続で。
It's the third time in a row.
普通に考えたら人の死がこうも同じ日に重なるなんてことは考えられない。
It's unbelievable that so many people have died on the exact same day.
警察も検視したみたいだけど、その後に特に騒がなかったってことは死因に不審な点はなかったってことじゃないの？
The coroner didn't find anything unusual about the cause of death, so nobody suspected that anything was wrong.
まあでもシオンの言う通り、人の死が3年も続いて綿流しの日に重なるとやっぱり普通じゃないって思うね。
But you're right that the whole situation is abnormal.
それにさっきお姉も言った通り、お社様にたたられそうな人ばかり開始する。
Only the people who are likely to be cursed died on the day of the festival.
これは絶対に何かあります。
There must be something behind this.
たたりでも陰謀でも、とにかく絶対裏に何か因果関係がある。
Whether it's a conspiracy or a curse, there has to be. I decided to meet up with Mion at the library near the Okinomiya train station. It's not that I don't trust Mion, but I don't want to let her know where I live. Not many people use this library, so I won't see anyone from Hinamazawa here. It's very convenient for meeting someone in secret. After we discussed my life plan and work schedule, we moved to small talk. I've been away from this town for years. Things have changed. I asked Mion about these changes in detail in order to fill in the gaps. While talking about various things, I brought up what Uncle Yoshiro had told me about Oishiro-sama's curse. Even before I left town, the curse had already struck twice. The dismemberment murder on the first year left quite an impact. And the year after, the pro-dam activist couple fell off the cliff on the day the villagers were enjoying their first Watanagashi festival since the dam project was indefinitely frozen. This one also left quite the impact. The evil construction site manager was punished, and the next year the traitor to the village met the same fate. If it had happened only once, people would have concluded that it was just a bizarre coincidence. But when it happened 2 years in a row, people were far more likely to believe it was a curse. I know up to that part, and after I left town, the curse struck again for the third time. People talked about the curse more intensely than ever, both in Hinamazawa and Okinomiya. I have to rethink this. Oishiro-sama's curse has drastically gained credibility while I was away. It was still unclear with the first 2 incidents, but after it continued for 3 years straight, people's doubts changed to convictions. Even though the priest who died in the 3rd year wasn't an enemy of the villagers, the fact that people in Hinamazawa didn't care for him much added even more credibility to the idea.
神主は確か嫌われてませんでした？
Wasn't the priest hated by a few?
同盟の役員から。
Especially by the committee members?
うん。
Yeah.
日和見主義なんじゃないかって叩かれてたね。
They criticized him for being a fence-sitter.
戦争末期は同盟内でも過激な理論がまかり通ってたから。
Toward the end of the dam conflict, the protesters were all taking aggressive stances.
神主さんの穏健な態度はそういう人たちにとって気に食わないものだったと思うね。
So they didn't like how soft he was being. The priest had looked strict and scary. The way he spoke was always so formal. But in reality, he was very warm and reserved. Maybe it was because he was a son-in-law, having married into his family. I'm sure the priest and his personality were the perfect fit for managing the shrine that was used for summer festivals and village meetings. But that gathering spot style atmosphere of the shrine changed completely when the dam war broke out and it became the headquarters for the Onigafuchi Guardians. Prior to the dam protests, hardly anyone worshipped Oishiro-sama. Of course, the devout elders paid worship to him, but the average person treated their god like how you treat fortune-telling. Once the dam protests began, Oishiro-sama was suddenly hauled out as a symbol of the village's resistance. Tracing the Oishiro-sama faith back to its roots, it was an exclusive, elitist faith that believed its members were descended from a holy ancestor, different from the masses at the foot of the mountain, and that those tainted masses should never come near the village. Of course, such self-centered ideology wasn't acceptable anymore in peaceful post-war Japan, so this doctrine was abandoned over time. Still, that idea remained. They trudged it back up to fan the flames of nationalism and unite the town against the dam project. With the revival of those ideas, things only grew more radical by the day. And it didn't take long, very long, for the Onigafuchi Guardians to become aggressive. After that, we were in a state of war. 100 million, burning as one. Kill the white savages. Want naught but victory. Adults and kids both were gnawing at the bit, avid to repel the foreign invaders. Describing it like that makes it sound kind of awful, like a reminder of the dark times of wartime Japan. But like I said before, for us kids it felt less like a war and more like a village-wide festival. Yet despite calling it a festival, dissenters were treated coldly. Their heartlessness lived up to the expression wartime regime. The Hojo couple who voiced their acceptance of the dam project in the midst of that atmosphere were truly brave. Then on the second year of the curse, they died in an accident, and everyone believed it was Oishiro-sama's curse without question. So they were branded traitors and enemies of the village. The Hojo couple faced worse than just being ostracized as traitors. Everyone gave them the cold shoulder and talked behind their backs. The only person who didn't treat them badly was the priest. While the priest never objected to the anti-dam movement, he also never objected to the Hojo couple's advocacy for accepting the government's eviction and restitution to rebuild new lives. Those unforgivable Hojos became a slogan as the three families, especially the Sonozakis, united the village by turning them into scapegoats. So they must have found it very shameful to have a fellow member of the three families approve of that, especially when it was the priest of the shrine that had become a symbol for the dam protest. As central figures of Inamazawa, the three families were the backbones of the Onigafuchi Guardians, so a difference of opinion was undesirable, and the priest was never accused of anything. But secretly, people whispered that he was a heretic, that he was unfit to serve as Oishiro-sama's priest, that Oishiro-sama's curse would soon strike him down, along with other rumors.
今にして考えると、神主さんって結構大人だったのかもねって思いません？
Don't you think the priest was more mature than those around him? He was pretty cool, managing to keep his head and remain neutral while everyone around him grew fervent. I thought Mion would share my opinion when I chimed back in. So when Mion gave me a forced smile and didn't agree with me, I was taken by surprise.
本当に大人だったら、あそこは周りに合わせて強調すべきところだったと思うね。
If he were really mature, I think he would have cooperated with the others. He should have appeased them.
フルデのおじさんは単に神社の神主だっただけじゃなく、仮にも御三家の一つ、フルデ家の長だったんだからさ。
He wasn't just the head priest. He was also the head of the Furude family.
南沢全体が結束しなくちゃならないときに、模範となるべき御三家の人間が自分から輪を乱すのは。
That was a time when all of Hinamazawa needed to be united. So having one of the families who are supposed to serve as examples disturb that harmony was...
それが大人と呼べるかどうかは、私には難しいな。
I don't know if that should be called mature. It's hard for me to tell. I was taken aback. I barely managed to say the following.
ふーん
Uh-huh. Even though we're identical twins, we still had our own unique identities. Every now and then our opinions differed. But usually only over some trivial matter. We've never had a difference of opinion this big. It wasn't an enjoyable feeling. I decided to probe her even more.
お
Or
姉
some
の
more.
言う協調って言葉がなんだか好きじゃないんですけど。
I don't really like that word you used. Appease.
つまりそれって何？
What are you trying to say?
村全体を考えて神主さんは自分の考えを隠しているべきだったって、そういう話？
Are you saying the priest should have thought of the village as a whole and kept his opinions a secret?
要するに全体主義の中で個を主張するなと、そういう話？
Meaning people shouldn't assert the self before the whole?
別にそこまでは言わないけど。
I'm not going that far.
ただやっぱり御三家の長の一人なんだから、もう少し言動は慎重にしてもよかったんじゃないかって、そういうことだよ。
It's just, I thought that as a member of the three families, he should have acted more carefully. That's what I mean. Mion faltered a bit as my tone grew more like a cross-examination. I realized I was speaking a bit too harshly. What Mion expressed was probably the more mature opinion on our scale. When everyone needs to work together to stand up to a vast enemy like the government, people should refrain from actions that would destabilize that alliance. Writing it out and reading it now, I can understand that. But I wasn't mature enough to agree to such a totalitarian idea. Or maybe it wasn't me at all. It was Mion who'd made that mature judgment. We've been separated for over a year. I've been away from the town. In the meantime, Mion had been trained to take over the headship of the Sonozaki family. She'd been treated as such even before I was confined to that institution. She sat next to the hag in ceremonies and in meetings. She took her place when the hag was absent. But that was just it. We were never that different. Mion had become very like a successor since I've been gone.
ふーん。
Uh-huh.
お姉もいつの間にか大人になっちゃいましたね。
You sound like a grown-up now. She seemed to get what I was implying.
やっぱり私もバッチャみたいな考え方になっちゃってきたかな。
Am I thinking like Granny now?
いいじゃないですか。
That's good.
お姉は次期当主なんだから。
There's a successor.
いつまでも下々と同じ考え方じゃまずいでしょ。
You shouldn't think like the rest.
さすが帝王学を学んだだけのことはある。
You've definitely learned the art of ruling.
そんなの学んでないよ。
I never learned anything like that.
どうやればバッチャのふりができるかって、それだけだよ。
I'm just trying to act like her.
シオンにだって簡単にできるよ。
You can do it easily too.
そんなのやりたくないです。
I don't want to.
ばあさんのおもりはミオンのお役目。
It's your role.
疲れない程度にほどほどに頑張りなさいませ。
Well, don't try too hard or you'll tire yourself out. I didn't mean to be cold, but Mion seemed to take it that way. She smiled as if trying to pacify me. I smiled gently back at her.
お姉？
Sis?
うん。ミオン？
I mean, Mion?
何？
What? What is it?
確かに私たちの別離はいつも穏便じゃなかった。
Our separation has always been tough.
名前を引き離され、住まいを引き離され、そして体を引き離された時もいつもね。
Our names, the places where we live, and our bodies. Mion looked down with a serious face, but then looked right back up.
あんたは私がそのあたりで逆恨みしてるんじゃないかって思ってるかもしれない。
Maybe you think I'm jealous of that,
でもそれは誤解。
but I'm not.
そりゃ確かに確執はあったよ。
We used to have some disagreements,
でもそんなのは時間で流れる程度のもの。
but they were always small and forgettable. Man, it is so true. I remember at some point early on in the series here, I was like, it definitely feels like we're not getting as varied like music styles and bits. And then I think someone had mentioned at some point that it was like, yeah, once you get into the chapter 5, the answer arcs, you'll start to hear a much more varied soundtrack. already seems to be the case. Did I read this? We used to have some disagreements, but they were always small and forgettable.
あんたが引け目を感じるようなことは何もない。
You don't have to feel sorry for anything. Up until birth, we were perfectly equal. Right after birth, we were separated by the grown-ups' priorities. I used to get mad about it when I was little. There's no denying that. But we don't have to start a disagreement over it. Mion seems to understand what I'm trying to say. We each have our own characteristics, even though we're identical twins. Only we know the differences. We're also dependent on each other because of them. Mion seems more dependent. She always worries about me. If somebody gave her a cookie, she'd divide it in two and give one half to me. If somebody gave her a candy, she'd wait until I said it was okay to eat it. On the contrary, I'm cold. I don't care about others if I'm satisfied. I'd put the candy in my mouth right away. I have to emphasize that I don't hate her, and I'm well aware that she loves me. We both know that. Mion must have been hesitating to put the candy of the successor in her mouth and was waiting to see if I was okay with that.
頑張れ、
Ah,
ミオン。
do your best, Mion.
私もシオンを頑張る。
I'll do my best as Shion too. I tapped her forehead with my fist lightly. Mion put her forehead against my fist as if trying to feel the warmth. She's Mion, and I'm Shion. She's the successor of the Sonozaki family, and I'm just a vagabond. That isn't a distinction, but rather our individuality. We shouldn't worry too much about the other anymore. We should feel relaxed, living as to who we are, with our own characteristics. I didn't have to say any of that out loud. We can communicate by touch, just like this. Okay.
ありがとう。
Thanks,
シオン、
Shion.
頑張ろう、ミオン。
No worries, Mion.
困ったことがあったらいつでも相談して。
Let's talk to each other whenever we want to,
私たちはいつだってそうやってきた。
like we've always been.
それはこれからも何も変わらないよ。
That'll never change, okay? Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Mion kept nodding, with her forehead against my fist. If you're wondering, I'm attempting to put my fist on my forehead, just to know what it feels like. I said goodbye to Mion before it turned to evening. We had talked about the things that happened during my time away, and I enjoyed having that chat between sisters very much. We were able to dissolve our unsettled emotions. We didn't used to do that. Maybe it's because we hadn't seen each other for over a year. Whew. It was late afternoon. My heart felt lighter now. I stretched and looked up at the sky. The sky was clear, blue, and far away. No matter how tall I grow, I'll never be able to touch that sky. I'm Shion Sonozaki, a girl who escaped from the life she was forced to live. Nobody will praise me for what I did and for what I'm going to do. But this is what I chose.
なんだ、私だって大人な考え方できるじゃない。
I can think maturely too. I psyched myself up. I should go shopping for dinner. Though I have Kasai's help, I need to save money. I love junk food, but it'd be cheaper to cook. Ironically, culinary classes from that evil school will come in handy. Why not go to the shopping district in Kamishiki? Whatever. If I'm going there, then I need to take the other street. The cool breeze in the late afternoon felt nice on my skin. Kasai came to the door while I was putting stuff I bought into the fridge.
あ、待って待って。
Wait a sec.
今鍵開けます。
I'm coming.
お買い物の帰りですか?
Did you go grocery shopping? Look at that bear. Look at that bunny trash can. What does it say? Super brain. First live. Live. Fish mat. Did you go grocery shopping?
お疲れ様です。
You must be tired.
買い物程度で疲れてちゃたまんないよ。
I don't get tired from grocery shopping.
葛西も食べてく？
Oh, do you want dinner?
独り者にはスーパーの野菜の単位は大きすぎだしね。
I bought enough for you too.
よろしいんですか?
Is that alright?
ご厄介になってもいいものでしたら、ぜひ。
If you say so, I'd be happy to. Kasai looked curious about what I'd cook.
チェ
Huh.
その顔は全然信じてないな。
You don't look like you believe in my cooking skills.
見てろ。
You'll pay for that later.
これらは冷蔵庫でいいんですか？
Are you putting these in the refrigerator?
入れておきますよ。
I'll do it.
あ、悪いね。
Oh, thanks.
2人分だとお米はこのくらいかな。
Is this amount of rice enough for two?
よっこらしょっと。
Here I go. Kasai skillfully packed food in the fridge while glancing at each item in turn. He noticed something.
シオンさん、
Shion-san,
相変わらず缶詰はダメなんですか？
do you still hate canned food? I hadn't bought any. That was, of course, on purpose.
缶詰を避けての買い物はいろいろ大変でしょう。
It must be hard to avoid it.
理屈じゃ分かってんだけどね。
I know it's illogical.
無理強いされりゃ食べないこともないけど。
Maybe I could eat if somebody forced me to.
それでも私はやっぱりパスだな。
No, on second thought, I definitely couldn't.
悪かったと思ってます。
I feel really sorry.
少しふざけすぎたと思ってますよ。
I know I was out of line then.
だからそろそろあんなくだらない話忘れてくださってもいいのに。
Please forget about that story.
ああもううっさいな。
Shut up.
男が厨房にチャラチャラ出入りしない。
Men shouldn't hang around in the kitchen.
テレビでも見てておとなしくしててよ。
Go watch TV or something. Kasai chuckled and left. I know this sounds stupid, but I hate canned food. If somebody told me there was canned food in a meal I just ate, I'd throw up. Excuse me, it started with a silly thing. Kasai told me a horror story when I was little. Oh no, canned food horror story. You know, one of those urban legends. About meat made from an unknown source. Like those rumors about how there's worm meat mixed into burger patties or dog meat in beef bowls. Kasai had fun telling me one of those stories because of how scared I got. He had fun, but I obviously didn't. I even started crying in the canned food section of a supermarket. That's how much I hated it. I don't freak out like that anymore, but I still don't like canned food. Since I don't like it, I don't force myself, and I now live my life naturally avoiding canned food. One of the big differences between us twins is that Mion doesn't have this issue. Kasai feels responsible for this, but he can't rid me of that fear. Still, a flaw like this is actually a good thing, otherwise I'd be too perfect. Ah ha 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 ha. Ah.
ダサい？机の上の新聞どけて。
Kasai, set the table, would you?
いい匂いですね。
Smells good.
ごちそうになります。
Thank you for doing this.
量が足りないと思ったら、あとは勝手に牛丼屋さんにでも行くこと。
If this isn't enough food, you can go to a beef bowl place later on or something.
あ、テレビは切らないで。
And don't turn off the TV.
私は静かな食卓ってやつが苦手だから。
I hate having dinner in silence.
では、いただきます。
Thank you for the meal.
で、
So,
葛西何の用だったの？
what is it, Kasai?
何か用事があってきたんでしょ？
You come here for something, didn't you? Or you came here? I handed him a cup of tea. I could wait until dinner was over, but I wanted to get to the point quick.
食事が終わってからの方がいいかと思ってましたが、食べながらにしますか？
I thought I should wait until we finished, but would you mind if I talked while eating?
葛西が来た時点でずっと何の用か気になってるから。
It's been bugging me since you got here.
先に言ってくれた方がご飯の通りが良くていいかもです。
It'd be much easier for me to eat if you start talking now.
自宅に学園から電話が今日ありました。
We received a phone call from the school today.
今日
Today?
そりゃ遅いね。
Ah, that's late.
よっぽど表沙汰にしたくなかったと見えるな。
Sounds like they didn't want to make it public. Ah,
で、どうなったの？
so, what happened?
電話は茜さんが取りました。
Akane-san took the call.
親父さんには後で折を見て話すそうです。
She said she was going to tell your father when the time is right. Kane-san is my mom. That's what Kasai calls her, as he's known her since before her marriage.
で、
So,
母さんなんか言ってた？
what did she say? I was lucky she answered the phone, since she's relatively on my side.
仕方のないやつだと漏らしておりました。
Other than calling you a brat,
こういう結果も決して予想外ではなかったような顔つきでしたね。
She didn't seem surprised by this outcome.
ふーん、
I see.
親父にはまだ知らせてないんだ。
So she hasn't told Dad yet?
茜さんなりにタイミングを測っているんでしょう。
She's probably waiting for the right moment.
多分2、3日中には話すものと思います。
I think she's going to in a couple of days.
親父はばあさん寄りだからな。
Dad's on Grandma's side.
耳に入れば自動的にあいつにも伝えるだろうな。
So he'll definitely talk to her if he hears about it.
で、伝わったら見つけ次第即刻ここへ連れてこい。
Then she'll have her men bring me to her.
申し開きの意見によっては指の1本や2本ってことになるだろうね。
And depending on my explanation, make me offer a finger or two.
おっかない子って。
Scary.
笑い事で済めばいいんですがね。
I wish you could laugh it off.
シオンさんの指だけじゃ済まないかもしれないってとこだけよくお願いしますよ。
But please remember, you're not the only one who...
あちちち。
Ouch!
がっつくからだよ。
You're eating too fast.
ちなみに味噌汁もご飯も作りすぎてるからおかわりは強制ね。
I cooked too much rice and miso soup, so you'll have to have another round.
3杯は絶対食べること。
At least 3 helpings, alright? A few days later, Mion told me that the hag had heard about my escape.
で、
So,
ばあさんはどんな感じだった？
how did she take it?
バッチェはカンカンでさ、
She was furious.
もしも沖宮界隈に帰ってきてるなら即刻見つけ次第自分の前に引っ立てろってさ。
She said that if you were in Okinomiya, she'd get you right away.
うこは。
Scary.
で、
And?
実際に親父とかの動向は？
Is Dad doing anything?
近々の親族会議でシオンをかくまってないか問いただすみたいだね。
They'll hold a family council soon to see if any of the family members are hiding you.
でも若いのに町中を探させるとかそういう真似はしないみたいだよ。
It doesn't look like she'll have the greenhorn search for you all over town, though. Holding a family council means that things will remain in the hag's hands alone. She won't search the town for me. It's like she's unofficially approving my presence. Of course, I'll get caught immediately if they find me in a large public place.
母さんが随分暗躍してくれたみたいだね。
Seems like Mom did a lot to help me. I can tell she's being supportive. It's a long story, but my mom is a sort of an outlaw, even though she's of the Sonozaki bloodline. A long time ago, she had a huge fight with the hag because she hated the family rules and traditions. She was even excommunicated. My mom was supposed to be the successor, but she was deprived of the title and Sis took her place instead. While she's quiet now, Mom's still an outlaw. She's always been on my side because I also hate rules and traditions.
親父、最初はすっごくカンカンだったらしいよ。
Dad was flaring up at first,
母さんがだいぶなだめたらしい。
but Mom pacified him.
何のかんの言っても、親父は最後には母さんには勝てないからね。
He can't win against her after all.
オッケー、ありがとう。
Okay, thanks.
また何かあったら教えてね。
Let me know if something comes up.
本当にヤバくなったら私もこの町を離れるつもりだから。
If things really go bad, I'm ready to leave town.
葛西とか吉郎おじさんとかそれに母さんとか世話になった人の顔は潰せないからね。
I can't let Kasai, Uncle Yoshiro, or Mom lose face.
おねえ、あんたが今何を考えてるかわかりますよ。
Sis, I know what you're thinking.
どうして同じ血を分けた姉妹なのにシオンだけこんな隠れるように生活しなきゃならないのかでしょ。
You're asking yourself why only I have to go through this, even though we're twins, aren't you? Mion was silent. That meant yes.
シオンだけこんな窮屈な思いをするのはフェアじゃないよ。
It isn't fair that only you have to live like this.
絶対。
It's absolutely not.
ありがとう。
Thanks.
気持ちだけでも嬉しいです。
I appreciate your feelings.
表に出たい時とかあったら相談して。
Tell me when you want to go out.
シオンがいつでもミオンになれるよう協力するからさ。
I'll arrange my plans so I can trade places with you. She sounded apologetic. I shouldn't go quiet or agree with her. She sticks to things a little too much. Once she goes down, she'll stay there for a while. So, I just told her simply,
ありがとう。
thanks.
実はそれが一番ありがたいです。
That's really nice of you.
じゃあ切りますね。
Okay, I'm hanging up now.
じゃあね、またね。
Talk to you later. Oh, they're so sisterly. A smudged diary. A smudged diary. Well, Satoko is crying while hiding behind my back. She's been crying while clinging onto me, so my back was wet with her tears and snot. My aunt had been screaming hysterically, but she looked tired now. I suddenly realized that it was already past 1 in the morning. She vomited out a series of screams one last time, then finally called it quits. Satoko seemed exhausted. She was looking down in a state of shock. Even after my aunt walked away, she didn't realize she had been freed. So, oh, this is from the perspective of, Satoshi. So I stroked her head and told her.
終わったよ。Satoko.
It's over. Satoko. Satoko twitched. Her eyes grew bright again, and tears rolled down her cheeks. She looked up at my face. She knew it was over, but wanted to hear it directly from me. She begged me with a look. To be honest, I was really exhausted too, so I felt a bit annoyed when she tried to make me say it. But I needed to pacify her, so I gently told her what she wanted to hear.
もうおばさんの小言は終わったよ。
She's done with her scolding,
だからね、
so let's go to sleep.
寝よ
Alright? Satoko clung to me while her tears continued to fall. She was crying again silently. Satoko was shivering pitifully. Her small back reminded me that there was nobody else to protect her.
う。さあ、歯を磨いて、それから布団を敷こう。
Here, go brush your teeth, make your bed,
そしてぐっすり休もう。
and go to sleep. Satoko smiled faintly and nodded. I felt dizzy. As I was released from the strain, a harsh drowsiness fell upon me. While Satoko was washing her face, I went to the toilet. I zoned out while watching my pee. In my dizziness, I almost missed the shot. Oh no! I felt like I was being sucked into the toilet. I couldn't even remember what caused it. Why did my aunt start screaming today? Alright, so we're gonna get some Satoshi perspective, it seems. It's still super early, even though it feels like we've already read a lot. Maybe they're just going quicker. We can read the next section. I do need to BRB real quick. We got, I gotta get water and stuff, so. Give me about 5 minutes, we'll pick up the next section, so, be back very shortly. Alright, I'm coming back. I was right. I was freaking out because I went to go come back to my desk. And then I thought I heard knocking on my front door. I'm like, it is way too late to begin knocking on my door. But I think I'm just imagining it. But it definitely it definitely freaked me out. You better believe. Here we go. Where is this? There we go. I just left the I came back to the tinks and the tonks so that some kind of music could be playing during the BRB there. The upgraded tips music. Alright, let's see if we can do another section here. It's a very quiet afternoon, as always. Since I can't go outside as myself, I have to match schedules with Mion when I go shopping. Seems like so much work. I've gotten used to it by now, so it's no longer a hassle. Because of this, I naturally have to buy things in bulk. Today, I shuttled between shops in my home.
あれは買った、これも買った。
I got this, I got that.
あ、そうだ。
Oh, wait.
今日って100円セールの日じゃなかったっけ？
Isn't it a 100 yen sale day today?
忘れてた。
I forgot this. Being in a good mood, I spun around with my arms spread out. I felt like a little whirlwind. My arm hit a motorcycle parked on the sidewalk. It obviously wasn't there. It was where it was supposed to be. Ow!
もう。
What the?
何こんなとこに止めてるの誰？
Who parked this motorcycle here? I gave it a kick with no hesitation. There were 3 motorcycles lined up there in a row. They all fell like dominoes. It was a beautiful sight. This is fun, I thought. Being in such a good mood made me leave my guard down. I didn't realize that the owners of the motorcycles were right nearby. They looked pretty scary. Oh, it's like it's a similar thing to what we've seen before. They grabbed me by the neck and dragged me into a dark alley. Oh god. Then they called me all kinds of names. Everything was happening too quickly for me to grasp what was going on. The fuck? The fuck here, bitch! What do you think you're doing, huh? Fucking bash your head in, bitch! Gonna pay for what you did. Whoa. I can't really talk properly. They all have weird accents. I didn't have a clue what they were saying. I had to translate their alien tongue into normal words, normal human words in order to understand. We are very upset because you knocked down our motorcycles. You should immediately pay for the repair and compensation. Yeah, that was probably it. That's our offer. What do you say? We'd be happy to listen to your opinion. Something like that. Ugh! What in the damn?
あー、ごめんなさい。
Sorry?
さすがにそろそろ翻訳不能かも。
I don't think I can continue interpreting. What you saying? I know what they're trying to say, but somebody has to warn them about the way they park their motorcycles. It wouldn't be fair to those who obey the rules if there was no punishment for those who disobey them. This is an accident, but it must also be God's will. But God, you can use me to punish these guys, but how will you compensate me later? I heaved a huge sigh. Of course, I wasn't afraid in this situation at all, because it wasn't a dangerous one for me. These 3 guys were yelling at the top of their lungs at Girl. They didn't look good doing it, and they had too many disadvantages. First, there was a differences in gender and the number of people. Even if I did something wrong, as men shouting at a woman didn't make them look like they were in the right. Added to that, there were 3 of them. It already looked like it was going to get violent. Second, the location. Taking a girl into a dark, narrow alleyway is already a bad idea. And top of that, they're asking for money, not just an apology. Thanks to these facts, the public will be on my side. So this was a huge fight they couldn't possibly win. The only way for them to win would be to take my money before somebody finds out. Considering that, taking me to this narrow, secluded alleyway might have been a smart move since fewer people will find out about the situation. Listen or not? I knew how slim their chances of winning were. From the very beginning, they had picked the wrong girl. I'm Mion Sonozaki now. It'd be foolish to mug her in Okinomiya. Soon enough, the people of Hinamazawa would notice me and gather around. They don't spare mercy for their enemies, no matter what. The punks didn't know this area well. If they did, they'd have known how silly it was to rob Mion. Plus, the alleyway isn't always as empty as I assumed. This side street is a shortcut with local people frequently use on their way home. In the late afternoon, many people will be passing through here. That time had almost arrived. If I held off a little longer, the street would soon be filled with people. Then the punks would have to go away. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to wait in order to win. This was a simple fight like that. While they could hurl abusive language at me, or lift me up by my collar, they weren't actually going to resort to violence. Cheers to the educational system for ingraining the ladies first mindset. But, as a wicked person, I wanted to toy with them a bit, even though I could win this by waiting. I wanted to paint them as even more villainous, and drive them into a corner that would be even harder to talk their way out of. That demonic desire was rearing its horns. To put it plainly, I'd only need to act as the poor, helpless victim a little further. Like the pathetic, pitiful, tragic heroine everyone wanted to sympathize with. In a case like this, I shouldn't start crying immediately, because I'd get nervous and draw back. If it were a truly threatening situation, that would work, but I needed something different here. I'd pretend to be strong at first. In fact, I thought, why don't I challenge them? And eventually, I started trembling, my voice would fade, and I'd get tears in my eyes. It'd be even better if I played the role of a strong girl slowly giving in to fear. Mion and I probably are the only ones who are capable of pulling that kind of stuff off. Well, I'm probably better than her.
そんなにしつこく言わなくてもいいでしょ。
Why don't you let me go now?
悪かったって言ってるじゃないですか。
I already apologized. I talked back with a little hesitation. Am I getting tears yet? Yes. By the way, I've heard men can't shed tears on command. I feel sorry for them. The three punks faltered a bit due to my sudden change in attitude, but they soon started yelling at me again. I had to keep it going. That way they blatantly look like they're picking on a helpless girl.
もう許してください。
Please, forgive me.
なんだよこら。
What you doing?
今までの伊勢はどこ行ったんだよにゃろ。
What's with this girl, huh?
そんなのだって。
I don't.
そんな今頃泣くくれなら調子くれてんじゃねえんだよタクよ。
Maybe you should apologize like that from the start. It looked like they were laying off a bit. Did I overdo it a little? It'd be boring if they let me go now. At that moment, a boy. Oh my god! It's Satoshi in the flesh. Is this our first look at Satoshi? I guess so. Satoshi. Not what I was expecting, but also exactly what I was expecting. It's basically, fucking, what's his face? From Umineko. Sakataro. Immediately sees any blonde boy. Oh, it's Sakataro. Satoshi says, cut it out. Don't you see her crying? Stop it. A boy around my age appeared. He was skinny. He looked weak. He looked younger than he probably was. Yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking Satoshi was gonna seem, as Shion described right here, like a thin boy. I was thinking sturdier, bulkier. But for some reason, I don't know. Whatever. He looked younger than he probably was. He also looked smart. He bravely glared at the punks. What the hell? Who the fuck are you? Back the fuck off! Raw! The punks turned away from me to face the boy instead. The boy looked a bit agitated when the punks started yelling at him. Is he gonna pull out the bat and start swinging? They sure were ruthless, but the boy must have known that from the beginning. He must have known that he was going into a dangerous situation, yet he didn't hesitate. Fucking say something! Why don't you answer us? Look at that face. He must have wanted to shout back at them, but he'd probably never used that kind of language in his life, so couldn't have expressed his feelings out loud. He might have not even known what to say, so he just kept on glaring at them to let them know that he wasn't going anywhere. The three punks, though, might have thought he was just lost for words in his fear, but I knew different. The boy was overpowering them with nothing but his will. The punks were losing, so they resorted to violence. They grabbed him and knocked him down. They hit, kicked, and tossed him around. It looked painful, but I knew it was his victory. In the end, local passerby stopped the punks. They made no further fuss and just went away. The boy stood up. He was covered in dust. He smiled when our eyes met and asked me if I was alright. He didn't look particularly okay himself, though.
あんたもよくもまあ勝てない喧嘩を買う人ですね。
How could you step into a fight you obviously couldn't win?
次からは勝てる算段がついてから喧嘩を買うことを深くお勧めしますけどね。
Pick your opponents better next time.
最初は迷ったよ。
I hesitated at first. He laughed, saying that he was watching from the beginning. That meant he had the option to walk away. But instead, he worked up the courage and stepped in.
そういうのは勇気って言わず、万有って言います。
That was reckless.
身の程知らずとも言うかな。
Not brave.
ミオンは口が減らないね。
You're being a little harsh, Mion.
助けてくれてありがとうくらい言ってくれよ。
You should at least say thank you.
泣いてたじゃないか。
I saw you crying.
別に泣いてなんかいません。
No, I wasn't crying.
あれはちょっとした演技で。
That was just an act.
いいよ、演技でも。
Okay, okay.
ちょっと
Hey,
信じてないでしょ。
you don't believe me, do you?
私が本当に泣き出すと思いますか？
Do you really think I'd cry?
思わないよ。
No.
天下御免の園崎ミオンが不良にいじめられて泣き出したなんて誰も思わないよ。
Nobody would believe Mion Sonozaki would cry when punks bullied her. Ha 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 ha.
何を笑ってるんですか？
Why are you laughing?
全然信じてないでしょ。
You really don't believe that was an act?
私が半泣きなんてするわけない。
I would never cry.
信じるから信じるから。
Ha 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 ha. I believe you. I do. I realized one thing. He must be one of Sis's friends. He didn't seem to realize I'm her twin. He thought I was Mion with a different hairstyle. Mion and I had to live separately since before we went to elementary school. Mion was in Hinamazawa, and I was in Okinomiya. I lived in a totally different environment from her, so it's not strange that people don't know me. Actually, only very few people know I exist. I almost told him that I'm not Mion, but I managed to stop myself. Shion shouldn't be here. He's from Hinamazawa. It wouldn't be good if he thought he saw a Mion look like an Okinomiya. So, I had to act like Mion. Dealing with him could be more difficult than handling those punks.
でもまあ、
Well,
ミオンにも少しは 女の子らしいところがあったんで安心したよ。
I was just relieved because you seem to have a girly side after all.
なんだか妙に引っかかる言い方ですけど、つまりはどういう意味です？
You sound hostile. What exactly do you mean by that?
ミオンのことだから、なんだか珍妙な憲法でも使って瞬く間に撃退してしまうんじゃないかって期待してたね。
I thought you'd kick those guys' butts with some crazy martial arts.
だから泣き出した時は正直驚いた。
So I was really surprised when you just started crying.
だから
Hey!
あれは泣き真似だったって言ってるじゃないですか。
Like I said, I was acting.
さっきから人の話ちゃんと聞いて。
Weren't you listening at all? He gently put his hand on top of my head and stroked it as if stroking a kitten. I could remember somebody doing that to me when I was little, but it had been quite a while since somebody stroked my head. I didn't know what to do. Ask him to stop. Why did it make me so embarrassed? My face reddened all at once. Couldn't say anything.
バカにしてます？
Hey!
ひょっとして。
Are you making fun of me? I stuttered in embarrassment. He looked calm as if he was used to doing this.
なんでもいいよ。
Whatever.
よかったじゃないか。
Aren't you glad though?
よかったって何がです？
Glad? What do you mean?
無事で。
Well, you didn't get hurt. He smiled while he kept stroking my head. His smile looked divine. He wasn't going to stay for long. He'd already saved me from those guys after all.
じゃあ僕は行かなきゃならないから。
Well, I need to be going.
そろそろ行くね。
So, I should head off now.
うん。
Okay. I wanted to go through all the steps of meeting someone for the first time, but he didn't. As far as he was concerned, he just saved a friend from danger and wanted to leave quickly to avoid seeming pretentious. He and Mion must be friends who knew each other well. So, couldn't bring myself to ask, "What's your name?" Mion's friend smiled once again. His smile looked as refreshing as a clear blue sky. This time, he smiled a bit mischievously.
安心しなよ。
Don't worry.
ミオンが泣いてたなんて誰にも言わないから。
I won't tell anybody you were crying.
もっとも言ったところで誰も信じないだろうけどね。
Huh, well, nobody would believe me if I told them anyway.
天下無双の委員長が泣いてたなんて絶対誰も信じない。
Nobody would ever believe that our invincible class president cried. Ha ha ha. He patted the dust off his butt once again. He walked back to the sunny main road, away from the dark alley. Then he turned around.
じゃあまた明日。
See you.
学校でね。
In school tomorrow, I mean.
うん。
Yeah.
学校で。
See you in school. He disappeared into the brightly lit street. I continued to sit in the gloomy alleyway. I could no longer see him. I was just staring absent-mindedly at the bright light. That was the first time I met Satoshi-kun. I'm not even allowed to walk freely under the sun. I met a boy on a sunny day. How come a perverse girl like me fell in love with his innocence? Notebook page 5.
そりゃあサトシだよ、サトシ。
That must be Satoshi.
その特徴的な雰囲気と気安く頭を撫でる癖は間違いないね。
He looks like what you described, and he has a habit of stroking people's heads.
ふん。
Uh-huh.
サトシくんって言うんだ。
Oh, she's infatuated. His name is Satoshi-kun, huh? The boy from earlier is called Satoshi Hojo-kun. Mion said that he's always daydreaming. So she didn't believe that he had saved me at first.
普段はしっかり者の妹にいろいろと尻を叩かれてるな。
His little sister is always kicking his butt. Ha ha ha.
ふん。
Uh-huh.
妹がいるんだ。
He has a little sister?
うん。
Yeah.
妹はサトコって言ってね。
Her name is Satoko.
なかなか面白いやつだよ。
She's funny.
なかなか悪知恵が働くしね。
And shrewd.
そのくせ追い詰められると泣くし。
But is quick to cry when she's cornered.
見てて退屈しない子だね。
She's fun to watch.
まあ、最近はいろいろとあってね。
But things have been rough for her lately.
ちょっと調子を落としてるけど。
So she's feeling a bit down. His sister came up naturally in the conversation. I tried to soak up every scrap of information about Satoshi-kun. Why? Why am I trying to ask so much about him? As I asked myself that, the feeling I got when he stroked my head came back to me. I must have been blushing.
もしもし
Hello?
シオン
Shion?
ごめん。
Sorry.
聞いてる聞いてる。
I'm here, I'm listening.
そもそもね、サトコがおばと折り合いが悪いらしいんだよね。
To start, I hear Satoko's on bad terms with her aunt.
サトシは大人だからその辺はうまく立ち回ってるんだけどさ、サトコは嫌なことがあると素直に表情に出しちゃうからね。
Satoshi's mature, so he knows how to conduct himself, but when bad things happen, Satoko really lets herself go. What Sis told me was very interesting. She told me that the parents of Satoshi-kun and his little sister are dead. Satoshi-kun and Satoko are now living with their uncle and aunt. They don't seem like very respectable people. They're always fighting, and the uncle is cheating on the aunt. He mostly lives with his mistress. Satoshi-kun and Satoko entered into that unwelcome environment. What surprised me the most is the fact that Satoshi-kun's parents were the Hojo couple who are the leaders of the pro-dam activists. That fact must have added something to the situation. I don't know what kind of stance the uncle and aunt took during the dam conflict, but they must have taken some indirect blows. Satoshi-kun's parents died after bothering them so much, and even left them their children. The uncle and aunt obviously can't love those kids. Things have gotten worse this past year too. Women can be really nasty bullies. Sometimes it doesn't matter who they're bullying, even if it's a kid. On top of that, women tend to care less about property than men. As a result, Satoko seems exhausted with it all. I can imagine Satoshi-kun bravely protecting his little sister. Just like when he saved me.
なら、サトシ君も普段は疲れてるってことになるのかな。
So, he must be exhausted too, right?
え
Huh?
サトコがおばにいじめられるたびに、きっとサトシ君は妹をかばってると思う。
He must be covering for Satoko all the time.
妹が疲れるのと同じくらい、サトシ君も疲れてると思うのは、私の考えすぎ？
So wouldn't you normally assume that he's been feeling worn out? Well,
どうだろうね。
I don't know. Had I said something wrong? Mion sounded a bit taken aback. So that meant Mion can't tell how he's feeling. Because he's always wearing that blank look. So she never considered it. How can she be that insensitive even though she's around him all the time? I was amazed to realize that.
まあそんな話はいいや。
Well,
で、
anyway,
彼は普段はどんなことをしてるの？
what does he usually do?
文系みたいだから、読書とか好きなわけ？
He looks smart, so does he read a lot of books?
あ、
Ah,
ね、想像に漏れずに普段は読書して過ごしてるよ。
yeah, you're right. He likes to read.
最近読んでる本はね、なんて言ったかな。
He's now reading... What's it called? I continued asking about him. About what he likes, dislikes, and what he thinks about. I asked Sis all these questions because I wanted to know more about him. It was the first time I'd ever been that interested in somebody. I didn't want to admit that I had feelings like that. I don't think you have to admit it at that point. But Mion be like, why is she asking me all these questions about it, Jim? Did I fall in love just because of a stroke on the head? Am I stupid or what? When I remember the feeling of his hand on my head, my heart feels tingly. I tried doing it myself, but it didn't feel the same. I'm stupid. What am I doing, stroking my own head?
おねえ、私もうダメだ。
Sis, I'm done for.
バカになっちゃった。
I became stupid. Me all the time. What?
何を突然。
Why are you laughing?
気色悪い声で笑い出して。
In that weird voice.
おねえにはわかるまい、この気持ち。
You wouldn't understand this feeling, sis. Giggle, 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 giggle. When would I see him again? I felt as if my suffocating life had finally grown brighter. Shion and Satoshi sitting in a tree. The life I lived really was beginning to suffocate me. I couldn't go out freely, and I always had to make arrangements with Mion before going to work. I thought my life would improve after escaping from the school, but in reality, it isn't that easy. It's not healthy to live like this for too long. Without any friends to hang out with, I felt like I was hibernating. I started to feel the dangers of falling into boredom. All I could think of now was Satoshi Hojo-kun's face. I'd only met him briefly, but my encounter with him had a great impact on my new life. I felt like something exciting was going to happen. Really, I was hyped up like a little kid. The more I thought about it, I realized I've been thinking about him a lot lately. This might be a crush. I felt a little ridiculous idolizing him in such a romantic way, though. Then, out of the blue, I got a chance to see him again.
あれ
Oh? I saw a familiar face at twilight in the park. He was sitting on the swing. He looked like he was zoning out, or maybe deep in thought. He didn't notice me, even though I was right in front of him. I reminded myself to speak and act like Mion before talking to him.
Hey!
Hey!
何やってんのこんなとこでさ。
What are you doing here?
ミオンか。
Mion,
びっくりしたな。
you surprised me.
そんなに驚いてるようには見えないけどね。
You don't look surprised.
さっきからいたんだけど、ずっと気づかなかった？
I've been standing here for a couple minutes now. Didn't you notice me?
そうなのかい？
Have you?
ごめん、気づかなかったよ。
Sorry, I didn't. He smiled derisively and shrugged. He looked depressed, like something was troubling him.
何か悩み事でも？
Is something bugging you?
聞いて楽になるものなら聞くし、力になれるものなら惜しまないけど。
You can talk to me if you want. Maybe I can help.
いや、別に。
No, that's okay.
私はサトシ君には一個借りがあるからね。
Come on, I owe you one from before, Satoshi-kun.
それとも何？
Or maybe
おじさんじゃ力になれないと思ってるわけ？
you don't think this old man could be of any help?
見くびられたもんだな。
Don't you know how mighty I am?
別に。
I'm okay.
ミオンの力を借りたら意味がないことだからさ。
You don't have to help me.
ほう。
Huh?
それは何？
What
つまり、
What is it then?
私ごとき女の手は借りたくないってこと？
Are you saying that you don't need help from a girl? Thinking him unfair, I puffed up my cheeks in a sulky gesture. Satoshi-kun noticed that and smiled.
違うんだよ、ミオン。
No, Mion.
僕に実力がなくて、ここ一番で打てなかったってだけのことなんだよ。
It's just, I messed up my swing when they needed me the most. Ah, he's bummed about sports. Ah, he let the team down. I mentally rifled through all the information about Satoshi-kun that Sis had given me. He doesn't look like much of an athlete, but apparently Satoshi-kun belongs to a junior baseball team. They're called the Hinamazawa Fighters. I doubt he's very skilled since I didn't hear much about his contributions to the team. Maybe that's why he doesn't tell many people that he's a member. Given how down he felt as a result of messing up, though, he must be fairly dedicated. I deduced all that from what Sis told me and carefully chose my words so as to sound like her.
なんだ、
What?
そんなことで落ち込んでるわけ？
Are you feeling down just because of that?
そんなことでって
Hey,
簡単に言ってくれるな、ミオンは。
it's not that easy to get over, Mion. I pat his back while chuckling. Satoshi-kun would probably call me insensitive. I knew I should listen to him rather than trying to cheer him up. Acting like Sis was probably the wrong thing to do in this case, but I had no choice. This is just how she'd react in this situation.
それなら落ち込むんじゃなくて、なお一層練習に打ち込んで次のチャンスを目指すのが適当ってもんでしょうが。
Instead of feeling down, you should practice even harder and aim for your chance, you know?
こういう時は練習しかないよ、練習。
Practice makes perfect here.
まあ、サトシ君に相手のピッチャーに小細工をしてまで勝ちたいという執念があるなら、おじさんいろいろと協力できるかもしれませんけどね。
Well, if you want to beat the opposing pitcher so badly you're willing to pull some tricks, then I might be able to help you in a few ways.
ずるしても何の意味もないよ。
There's no point if I cheat.
はあ。
Satoshi-kun hung his head after letting his regrets words out with a big sigh. Surrender, defeat, resignation were all visible in that gesture of his.
諦めがいいのか未練たらたらなのか。
Are you quick to give up or persistent?
やっぱり男に生まれたからには一度くらいは晴れ舞台でスターになってみたいでしょう。
If you're a man, then don't you want to be a star and have your 15 minutes of fame? Satoshi-kun grinned and said yes.
もちろんヒーローを目指すのが花だけど、
Of course. That'd be wonderful.
それが目的で野球をやってるわけじゃないよ。
But that's not why I play baseball.
純粋にボールを投げたり打ったりするのが楽しいからやってるんだよ。
I just have fun batting and throwing the ball.
ミオンでもそういうのわかるよね。
You can understand that, right?
おじさんはそういうのはあんまわかんないかな。
This old man isn't sure.
私は結果が一番であるならどんな種目でも大好きだし。
I only love games that I can win.
一番になれないのに大好きなんてものはあんまりよくわかんないね。
I don't understand how you can love something when you can't be the best at it.
ミオンらしい答えだな。
Ha 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 ha. That really sounds like you, Mion. Having realized that I'm trying to make him feel better, he laughed along. He didn't look depressed anymore. I guess he was just feeling down because of the game. He wasn't as depressed as I thought. Maybe I just jumped to conclusions when I saw him sitting alone in the park.
でもミオンは一番になるためにいろいろと努力をするからね。
You always put forth your best effort to win.
それは偉いと思うよ。
That's admirable, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely is. He smiled gently and stood up. Then he started stroking my head. Oh, she's gonna melt like butter. She's like, yes, the fucking patting on the head. All of a sudden, I totally wasn't prepared for that. Boing? Eh? Whoa. Oh! I thought this when he did this last time, but how can he stroke somebody's head so easily? I felt like I had turned into a little kid. Memories from kindergarten came to mind. My face must have been red. I felt embarrassed, but also like I was in heaven. Satoshi-kun stroked me as though petting a cat. I was blushing with my eyes closed. I felt helpless, like a girl being treated by the dentist with her mouth open and her eyes shut. Satoshi-kun didn't seem to notice my feelings at all. He didn't seem to care. I hate him. With my eyes still closed, I waited for him to finish. He suddenly withdrew his hand.
じゃあ僕はそろそろ帰るよ。
I need to get going.
おばさんに野球の帰りに買い物をしてくるよう頼まれてるから。
My aunt wants some stuff, so I have to go grocery shopping. God, her eyes are closed and he was just petting her head so long that it turned to evening or something.
あ、
Okay. My voice faltered. I was so embarrassed.
買い物なら私も行くとこ。
I'm going shopping.
夕飯の買い物。
Too.
あ
Hmm?
れ
What?
ミオンも買い物するんだ。
You are?
お手伝いさんが全部やってくれるって言ってなかったっけ？
I thought the maids did all your household stuff. Shoot. I messed up. In the main Sunazaki house, the maids do everything. Therefore, Mion hardly goes grocery shopping, and she's bragged to some people about that. I should have known better. Still, it wouldn't be too hard to find an excuse.
町に遊びに来るつもりでいたから、たまには家事の真似事でもするかなって思って。
I just happened to be in town,
買い物を私が引き受けてきたわけよ。
so I thought I'd help out with the household stuff.
お分かり？
Is that a problem?
ミオンにしては珍しいね。
That doesn't sound like you.
普段はそういうのめんどくさいって言って嫌がりそうなのに。
You always avoid doing boring stuff like that.
そういうのを余計なお世話って言います。
You talk too much. Oh,
頭撫でないで。
stop stroking my head. Satoshi-kun seemed to be having fun with how embarrassed I'd get when he patted me. Anyway, I managed to talk my way out of it. He didn't seem to really care about the details. while walking with Satoshi-kun in the shopping district of Kamiishiki. It suddenly occurred to me. Why had I messed up? I'd known Mion would never go grocery shopping. An amateurish mistake. Did I make the mistake when I was pretending to be Mion? No. I was probably speaking as Shion. I couldn't keep lying to myself. I had to just admit. It was simply because I wanted to spend as much time with Satoshi-kun as possible. It was easy to see why I was so attracted to him. I found something intriguing in my boring life, and I didn't have to feel tense because he thought I was somebody else, etc., etc. His easygoing nature made him fun to be around, and his habit of petting people on the head was fun too. From these symptoms, I could tell I was embracing the feeling of love. I was just casually enjoying that feeling. It wasn't that I fell in love with him. I was just having fun. I could simply spend some time with Satoshi-kun without having to think too much.
ブロッコリーってどれだっけ？
Which one is broccoli?
緑だっけ？
The green one?
黄色だっけ？
Or the yellow one? Call back to fucking asking Satoko what color is broccoli, and her not knowing either.
そっちはカリフラワー。
What's with this family not knowing what broccoli is? I probably knew what broccoli was out of the womb, or pretty close to that, I think. That's cauliflower, Satoshi-kun.
サトシ君ってひょっとしてキャベツとレタスの区別がつかないタイプ？
Hey, could it be that you can't tell lettuce from cabbage either?
それはひどいよ。
I'm not that bad.
これでも精一杯区別してるつもり。
I'm doing my best here. Satoshi-kun stared at the heaps of broccoli and cauliflower. After thinking for a while, he reached out for the wrong one. What? She just told him which one is cauliflower. Why would he reach for the wrong one again?
それ違う。
He's got to be colorblind or something. He's got to be like straight up can't see colors. Can't see. I cannot see. I think someone said in chat at some point that there's at least a fan theory maybe or something that they're colorblind. Or at the very least, very dumb. She literally, back it up. Which one is broccoli, the green one or the yellow one? She goes, that's cauliflower. So she's like, that's cauliflower. Don't pick up the cauliflower. And then he goes, okay, let me try this again. And then picks up cauliflower again. What is he doing? What is this lad doing? That's not it.
サトシ君の買い物は見ててハラハラしますね。
Watching a shop is like being on a roller coaster.
見てるこっちは楽しいけどさ。
It's a lot of fun for me though. Ah.
参ったな。
You got me.
サトコと一緒の時にも迷うんだよ。
Satoko can't tell the difference either.
ブロッコリーとカリフラワーはどっちが何色だっけってね。
Which is broccoli and which one is cauliflower?
あんたら兄弟二人揃って面白すぎです。
I was gonna tell a story from my childhood. Honestly, I was trying to think, while he's being like, I don't know which is cauliflower, which is broccoli, I was trying to think, like, back when I was young, was there some kind of thing that is, like, equivalent to just being told something continuously and being like, this is this and this is that, and then still getting it wrong? And then I was like, when I was a kid, for some reason, the concept of a front door and a back door of a house didn't make a lot of sense to me. And that confused me, at least for a while there. I mean, I wasn't like 14 and then not understanding what a front door and a back door is. But like, I just didn't understand, especially when it related to the house that we had when I was a child in Texas. Especially because our house was kind of built weird. It was like a weird big house. And the back door to our house wasn't really like on the back, like what you would consider technically the back. I mean, technically you could probably make the argument that it was the back of the house, but like the way I looked at it as a kid was like it was kind of like the side of our house. So like I, for the longest time as a again, to give myself a little bit of credit, still a sort of young kid, being front door, back door, it still confused me. So you know what? I gotta give it to Satoko and Satoshi here. Front door, back door, broccoli, cauliflower, pretty similar. I can't grief him anything. I can't give him any shit. I was just as dumb, if not dumber. Anyway, Shion says, you guys are too funny. Sis had told me that Satoshi was a flaky big brother to his nagging little sister. I hadn't met Satoko, but she must be having a tough time dealing with Satoshi-kun. He stumbles over everything he buys, after all.
それは調理塩。
That's cooking salt.
胡椒とか混じってますから、卓上塩とは異なります。
It's mixed with pepper. It's different from regular salt.
そうなの？
Oh, is it?
ほら、確か理科の実験で塩と胡椒を分離するのを確か。
I think I saw salt and pepper separate in a separate in a science experiment once.
言い訳はいいから棚に戻す。
Stop making excuses and just put it back on the shelf.
こっちが普通のお塩ね。
This is normal salt.
で、次は
What are you getting next?
ミオンがいてくれると買い物が楽で助かるよ。
You're being a great help, Mion.
サトシ君、頭良さそうに見えて社会生活に支障ありすぎです。
You look smart, but you have serious issues.
もう少しお勉強した方がいいと思います。
I think you should study more.
それはひどいな。
That's a little harsh.
あった。
There.
これかな。
Is this it?
ひょいひょい。
In it goes.
だからそれは違う。
That's not it.
何でもカゴに放り込む前に値段と何人分かをよく確認する。
Don't just throw anything in the basket. Check the price and how many servings it is first. My first impression of Satoshi-kun was that he was strong and reliable. But the more I spoke to him, the more surprised I was at how clumsy and unreliable he was. How do I put it? It was hard to leave him alone. He was dangerous on his own. If he wasn't careful, he might start wondering, do you cross the street when the light is red? Or was it green? And get himself run over by a dump truck. Sweat drop. Also, with this is take a little walk with me. This is gonna sound a bit like a stretch, but the way how like the parallel in my brain right now, even though obviously completely different games, and I'm a bit of a stretch here, but the quickly of falling in love of Shion to Satoshi here, and then Satoshi disappearing, and then Kechi coming in, moving into the village, and then acting a lot like Satoshi in many different aspects, both acting as a big brother to Satoko and doing the thing with the bat, and then also Shion having this like kind of flirty thing with him, reminds me a hell of a lot of Final Fantasy VII. If you think about the parallels, if Shion is like, not personality-wise, but in this analogy I'm cooking up here, Shion being like Aerith and Zack being like Satoshi, and them having their little thing, and then Zack, spoilers for Crisis Core and Final Fantasy VII stuff, Zack dying, and then Cloud moving in, and then Cloud taking on basically the memories of Zack and becoming like the Zack stand-in, and then so Cloud then take that, is a lot like then Kechi inheriting the life of Satoshi in a way. It's a bit of a stretch, but I for some reason this all is cooking in my brain as I'm reading about Satoshi unable to pick up cauliflower and broccoli and being like, what the hell is this? I'm like, oh, it's just for some reason weirdly reminds me of like Final Fantasy VII. Anyway, let me reread this line. If he wasn't careful, he might start wondering, do you cross the street when the light is red, or was it green, and get himself run over by a dump truck, sweat drop.
1780円になります。
Your total is 1,780 yen.
スタンプカードはお持ちですか？
Do you have a member's card?
はい。
Yes.
あります。
I do.
あれ、どこかな？
Where is it?
あー、すみません。
Oh, sorry.
ちょっと見当たらないんで、今度でいいです。
We can't seem to find it, so we'll be alright for today. I finished checking out, ignoring Satoshi-kun as he fished through his wallet full of receipts.
ひどいな、ミオン。
That was horrible, Mion.
スタンプちゃんと押さないともったいないよ。
You made me waste points.
あんた、夕暮れ時のお買い物ラッシュの時にのんびりと財布を漁ってスタンプカードなんか探さない。
Don't go slowly fishing through your wallet to look for your member's card in the middle of the evening shopping rush.
後ろに大勢待ってるんだから。
There's a huge line behind us.
私たちの後ろで海線山線のおばさま方が早くしなさいざますって目でギロギロ睨んでたの気づいてなかったんですか？
Didn't you notice all the evil glares from all the old ladies?
あのね、そういう時はレジ前に並んでる時からあらかじめ用意しておくの。
Listen, at times like that, you should get it out before reaching the register.
そうか。
Oh, right.
いいことを聞いたよ。
Huh. That's good to know.
ちなみにここでのことだけじゃないですからね。
It's not only when you go shopping.
バスに乗る時もそう。
The same thing goes for when you ride a bus.
サトシ君、バスを降りようとして料金を入れる時、その時になって初めてお財布を開けて小銭をちまちまと探して後ろの人を詰まらせて待たせてるでしょう。
Satoshi-kun, I bet you don't open your wallet and start looking for change until you're about to get off and have to pay while holding up everyone behind you.
みんな僕を追い抜いて勝手に料金を入れてるかな。
No. Everyone walks by me and pays their own fare.
はあ、
Ha!
それはね、
You know what that means?
すっごーく周りに迷惑をかけているのです。
You're being a super huge bother to everyone.
そういうのはあらかじめ用意しておくのがマナー。
You need to have the money out beforehand. That's just good manners.
わかりました？
Do you get it?
わかったよ。
Okay.
今日のミオンは怖いな。
You're scary today, Mion. Satoshi-kun smiled as if patronizing me. Huh. Couldn't believe it. He was definitely the type who made women want to protect him. Sure, he was fine as he was when he had a busybody like me around him. But I couldn't stop worrying whether he was able to function in society without someone like that nearby. We got plastic bags and sorted out what we bought. Satoshi-kun put a pack of tofu at the bottom of the bag. I slapped his hand and put in a milk carton instead.
はい、これで OK。
Okay, there we go.
これで台所で買い物袋を広げてお母さんに仰天されなくて済みますからね。
Now your aunt won't freak out when she opens the shopping bag in her kitchen.
ありがとう。
Thanks.
助かったよ。
You helped me a lot.
僕はどうも買い物が苦手でさ。
I don't think I'm very good at shopping.
買い物だけ
Just shopping?
正直におっしゃい。
That's definitely not the only thing. Ha ha ha.
嘘嘘冗談。
Just kidding. I realized a few things while spending time with him today. He's not just bad at shopping, he's also chronically clumsy. In general, you could call him a slow thinker. Damn. But she loves this slow thinker. It's a term of endearment. That meant when he stepped into the quarrel with the punks, he must have needed a lot of courage. He might be a simpleton, but he's not stupid. He's aware of his weaknesses, so he must have been aware of the danger in that situation. He could have chosen to walk away even though I was in trouble, but he chose to be a man and stepped in. That was really admirable of him.
えらいえらい。
Good boy.
サトシ君は頑張ったよ。
You did a great job.
いい子いい子。
There, there.
なんだよ。
What is it?
急に人の頭を撫でないでくれよ。
Don't stroke my head.
サトシくんが一人でお買い物ができましたでしょう。
I'm rewarding you for shopping successfully today.
なでなでなで。
There, there.
ミオン、僕のことすっごいバカにしてるだろ。
You're making fun of me, aren't you, Mion?
してないよ。
No, I'm not.
お家一人で帰れるかな？
Can you go home by yourself?
道わかる？
Do you know how to get there?
や
It's just...
っぱりバカにしてる。
You are making fun of me. Satsuki-kun's sulky face flushed red. Ah, he's just too cute. At that point, I caught a glimpse of a billboard from the corner of my eye. Piano lessons. Call XX. Abacus class. Junior baseball team members abacus. Abacus class. I said abacus. Abacus class. Oh, the abacus class. Junior baseball team members wanted. It was a posting for the team Satoshi-kun belonged to. It showed the day, time, and place of their next practice. By then, I knew just how flaky he was. I figured he must be just the same when playing baseball. Satoshi-kun realized that I was reading the posting. He looked uncomfortable and walked away.
今サトシくんは思った。
I know what you're thinking.
頼むからミオン。
I beg you, Mion.
野球やってるとこまで来ないでくれよ。
I beg you, Mion, don't come to see me playing baseball.
図星？
Am I right?
うん。
Mm.
もう
そのムーってのはつまり何さ？
What does that mumbling mean?
図星ってことでしょ。
I know I'm right.
うん。
Satoshi-kun became quiet after mumbling something. It seemed like he couldn't say anything back since I had been right on the money. Satoshi-kun, you're just too cute. I don't think going silent is a good way to dodge the issue. Well, it might have just been the way innocent people like him would react in a situation like that.
じゃあねサトシくん。
See you, Satoshi-kun.
暗くなりかけてるから気をつけて帰ってね。
It's getting dark, so be careful on your way back.
ミオンは一緒に帰らないのかい？
Aren't you going home, Mion?
ひなみ沢。
To Inamazawa?
私はもうちょっと寄るとこありますんで。
I have to make a stop somewhere first.
気にしないで先に帰ってください。
Don't worry about me.
僕の買い物を手伝ってもらったんだから付き合うよ。
I'll help you this time.
今度は僕が手伝う。
In return.
大
Uh,
丈夫大丈夫。
I'm okay.
っていうかサトシくんが何を手伝うおつもりで？
What are you going to help me with anyway?
人の手伝いする前に自分が手伝われなくて買い物できるようになっといてくださいな。
You should learn to support yourself before you try to help me.
もう
Mm,
今日のミオンはひときわ意地悪かな。
you're really mean today. He seemed to have some pride at least. He looked a bit upset because he was teased by a girl. But in contrast, I felt very satisfied. As a result, I forgot to keep my guard up.
あ、でも手伝ってくれてありがとうね。
Thank you for the help.
本当に助かったから。
That was sweet of you. What? Cute. While wearing a bright smile, Satoshi-kun suddenly started stroking my head again. I know he's teasing me, but... Oh, I can't reject him. He keeps doing it only because he's realized I won't resist. Oh.
じゃあね、ミオン。
See you, Mion.
暗くならないうちに用事を済ませてね。
You should go home before it gets dark.
また明日学校で。
See you in school tomorrow.
あ、
Yeah.
また明日学校でね。
See you in school tomorrow, too. In fact, I wouldn't see him tomorrow at all. It felt awkward, but I had to settle for that. I had to thank Sis for letting me use her name. After I separated from him, I found myself giddy and wishing to see him again as soon as possible. I wanted to know more about him. I couldn't wait for my next chance to see him. Actually, maybe there was something I could do. Just like when I obtained my freedom from St. Lucia's, I could choose how to live my life. Whatever. It wasn't that complicated. I just wanted to tease him more. I wanted him to stroke my head more. And... whatever. I already knew the schedule for this baseball team. Is this chapter just gonna be a cute little love story? And then obviously the end is probably gonna be sad. It probably ends with Satoshi leaving. Shion being sad. Love story over. Let's read this here. A crumpled diary. My aunt finally stopped her hysterical screaming. Today was just like any other day. I can't remember what set her off. Whatever it was, she changed subjects constantly anyway. Didn't matter. She went on past midnight again. The urge to sleep was pounding the back of my head. Once Satoko had been able to relax, she fell down on the spot and started sleeping, still clinging to my sleeve. I carried Satoko to the bedroom and laid out our futons.
ほら、Satoko。
Here, Satoko.
布団が敷けたよ。
The futon is ready.
布団に入りな。
So get in, okay? Satoko crawled in like a worm. She would stop like a worm. She stopped moving when she was inside. I wished I could go to bed too, but I couldn't. My aunt asked me to do some chores. I had to get toothpaste after school tomorrow. I had to write it down somewhere. I had to make rice for lunch tomorrow. I set the timer. Right. I also had to repile the towels in the bathroom. That was the reason for today's scolding. My aunt will get mad if everything isn't done the way she wants. Oh, and there was something else. I was working at the grocery store the next day. They wanted me to bring an apron. Did we even have an apron in this house? I've never seen one. My aunt will be sleeping when I go to school, so I won't have time to ask her. What should I do? Since Mion helped me get that job, I don't want to screw it up. In that case, why don't I ask Mion about it at school? She might lend me one. Was there anything else? I was envious of Satoko because she got to go to bed. It was pathetic that I felt that way. It seems like we might see a lot of these. Especially if this chapter is a lot of the Shion and Satoshi dynamic. And then Shion trying to just hang out with him a bunch and enjoying his company. And then, like I said, if it is leading up to Satoshi's eventual leaving, and then the fallout from that, it would make sense then that if a lot of these tips end up being the things that drive Satoshi to what he ends up doing, leaving and or what we all assume. I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but at the very least, we all think he somehow takes out the ant. So if we see the driving thing in the tip side, and then they get that sharp contrast of the good moments between him and Shion acting as Mion. I think that might be where we're at with this chapter. That will be it. It's still not super late tonight, but we started somewhat early, and I feel like we got a bunch, and I'd rather not go into a chapter that then we can't then finish easily here, you know. So let's see, we'll call it a night. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for watching. I'm excited for chapter 5. I'm excited for reference to the beginning of the stream, back half of Higurashi here. I'm excited to see things shape out. I'm excited to see things clear up, hopefully, if that makes sense. See what's really happening here. At some point, the happiness here in this chapter with Shion has gotta end, I would assume. So we'll be upset. She's so happy with the head pats, but those head pats are gonna be done. Those head pats have an expiration date. We'll be back Tuesday, Saturdays with Higurashi. I don't think we'd only just missed this past Tuesday because of the little break here in between chapters, but we'll hit the ground running again Tuesday nights, Saturday nights with Higurashi. Actually, let me make sure. I don't think it's this Saturday. Not a week from today, Saturday, but just keep it in your mind. 2 weeks from today, we probably won't be able to do Higurashi night, Saturday night, because I have a friend's birthday, and I think we are going to be out and about, so with several people. So keep that in mind. I'll try to keep that in mind. All right, until next stream, I should be back on sometime tomorrow with something. Maybe experiment, maybe try out the backlog wheel that I concocted in a fugue state at some point in the last couple of days. I need to re-look at that and see how that ended up. Maybe we spin that tomorrow. Maybe check out more Somnium Files, stuff like that. So until next stream, have a nice rest of your night.